My voice, your comfort. Have you ever felt a sudden twist in your gut when someone says something that just doesn't feel right, even if they claim it's their truth? Or maybe you've had something important to say, something you truly believe, but hesitated because you worried it might upset someone else. Here's the thing, our right to speak, to share our thoughts, it's a powerful light inside us. It's how we connect, how we question, how we build. But then, other people also have a right to feel safe, respected, and not constantly bruised by words. This is where my voice, your powerful right to express, can sometimes meet your comfort, another person's deep need for peace. For a long time, people have thought about this. Ancient thinkers wondered how communities could let everyone speak freely without chaos. Later, philosophers talked about freedom of expression as something vital for a society to grow, like air for lungs. But they also knew that freedom isn't limitless. It's like building a sandcastle on the beach. You have all the sand you want, but you can't build your castle on top of someone else's. Your right to shape your sand stops where their castle begins. So, what happens when someone's spoken words, their truths, feel like they're taking a shovel to someone else's sense of safety? Imagine you're in a group project, and one person shares a really strong opinion, spoken with passion, about how something must be done. Their voice is loud, clear, and takes up a lot of space. For them, it's their honest belief, their contribution. But maybe for another person in the group, that strong voice, those specific words, make them shrink a little, make them feel their own ideas aren't welcome or safe to share. It's not about anyone being wrong. It's about how one person's powerful voice can unintentionally create discomfort or even silence in another. And so, we learn to walk a delicate path. It means speaking your truth with kindness, if you can, and listening deeply to hear the unspoken needs of others. It's about remembering that while your voice is precious, so is the quiet, safe space where another human heart dwells. Privacy in my pocket, or public safety. Have you ever thought about what's truly yours? Like, the space around you, your thoughts, the messages on your phone. When does what's yours bump into what's everyone's, and why does it matter? This is a big question. It's about privacy, your right to keep certain things secret, to have your own space, your own quiet thoughts. But then there's public safety. That's about keeping everyone safe, the whole group, the whole town, the whole school. Sometimes, these two really important ideas feel like they're pulling in different directions, and we have to choose. For a long time, people have thought about this. Imagine ancient cities that built huge walls. Everyone was safer inside those walls, protected from outside threats. But it also meant less freedom to come and go as you pleased. Or think about a small village hundreds of years ago. If someone got a serious, spreading sickness, everyone needed to know to stop it from going through the whole village, even if that person felt their illness was very private. This isn't new. It's part of how societies work. How do we protect the one person while also protecting the many? Think about your phone today. It's in your pocket or in your hand. It holds your conversations, your pictures, your ideas. That's your private world. But what if someone used their phone to plan something really harmful, something that could hurt many people? Then, the police might need to look at that phone to keep others safe. That's where the two ideas meet, head on. Or imagine a school fire drill. You might want to just stay where you are, feeling safe in your classroom. But the drill is about everyone's safety, making sure the whole school knows how to get out quickly. Sometimes, a tiny bit of personal inconvenience, or even a peek into your private space, is asked for. To make the larger group secure, it's a delicate balance. This dance between our private lives and the safety of our shared world. How much of our own space do we share, or let others look into, for the good of everyone else? There's no easy answer. It makes us pause and think about trust, and about how much we value being alone with our thoughts, versus being part of a safe, connected world. It's a quiet hum in the background of our lives, asking us to consider what truly protects us all. Praying my way, or respecting all. Have you ever felt a deep pull toward something? A quiet knowing inside you that shapes your whole world? For many, this is their faith, their spiritual path, the human right to believe what you want, to pray, or not to pray, to follow your heart's own compass, is a beautiful and powerful thing. It's one of the oldest freedoms people have ever fought for. Imagine a world where everyone could truly express their deepest beliefs without fear. That sounds wonderful, right? But here's the thing. What happens when your deep belief, your way of life, bumps up against someone else's? What if expressing your faith in a certain way makes someone else feel unwelcome, or even unsafe? This isn't about one belief being better than another. It's about how we all share the same space, the same air, the same moments on this planet. Historically, people dreamed of a world where religious freedom meant peace. But sometimes the very way we live out our truth can unknowingly clash with another person's equally valid right to feel respected and included. Think of it like this. Imagine a huge shared library, a quiet place for everyone to read and think. One student might want to listen to a soft, uplifting hymn on their headphones while they study, as part of their prayer. This is their right. But what if the sound leaks out, even just a little, disturbing someone else who needs total silence to concentrate, or who finds the music jarring? It's not that the hymn is bad, or that the student asking for silence is wrong. Both feelings are real. So, how do we honor the deeply personal right to practice our beliefs, while also respecting the equally important right of others to live free from discomfort or exclusion? It's like a complex melody. Every instrument has its own part, its own right to be heard. But the most beautiful music isn't just about each instrument playing as loud as it can. It's about listening, blending, and sometimes adjusting, so that the whole song can rise up, full of harmony. It asks us to look closely at our own hearts, and then gently, curiously, at the hearts of those around us, searching for shared ground. Free speech, or no hate allowed. When we talk about speaking freely, what does that really mean? It sounds simple, right? Say what you want. Share your thoughts, your beliefs, your wildest dreams. This idea, called free speech, is really important. It means the government can't stop you from saying things just because they don't like them. But here's the thing. What if what you say causes real harm? For a long time, people were punished just for speaking their minds. Thinkers started to say, ideas need to breathe. So, countries wrote free speech into their laws. Like the First Amendment in the US, they wanted people to share new ideas and challenge old ones. But there were always limits. You can't just yell fire in a crowded movie theater if there's no fire. Your words have power. They can cause panic. They can hurt people. Imagine our school hallways. We shared jokes, stories, and opinions. That's free speech. But what if someone starts spreading really hurtful rumors about another student? Or says things that make a whole group of kids feel unsafe, hated? It's like a powerful magnifying glass. You can use it to focus sunlight, to learn about tiny things. Or you can use it to burn something. Both use light, but one creates, and the other destroys. So, where do we draw the line? How do we protect the right to speak, while also protecting the right to feel safe and respected? It's a hard question, and it makes you think. It's about finding that delicate balance, not just in big laws, but in how we talk to each other. Every single day, how can we truly be free in our words, yet also be kind in our hearts? What I earn, or what everyone gets. Have you ever thought about what you really deserve? Not just what you want, but what you truly deserve. What if you worked really hard for something, and someone else just got it for free? Or, what if you were born somewhere tough, and someone else was born with everything? Here's the thing. Human rights sometimes feel like they bump into each other. It's like the idea of earning what you get, versus everyone getting what they need. Some people believe you should earn your way. You work, you get paid, you study, you get good grades, your effort leads to your reward. But then there's another idea, that simply being human means you deserve certain things, like clean water, a safe place to live, or a chance to learn. These aren't earned, they're just given. Think about the old days. For a long time, people often believed kings or leaders had special rights because of who they were born as. But then thinkers started to wonder if everyone, no matter their birth, had rights just by being human. John Locke, a famous thinker from hundreds of years ago, talked about natural rights. Things like life, liberty, and owning property. These weren't given by a king. He thought they just existed for all people. This idea grew. It became a big part of many revolutions, like the American one. It's about we the people having rights, not just a chosen few. Imagine a garden. If you plant seeds, water them, and pull weeds, you expect to harvest the biggest, best vegetables. Right, that's earning. You put in the work. But what about the sun and the rain? The sun doesn't shine only on the gardens of hard workers. It shines on everyone. The rain falls for all. Those are like universal rights, essential things everyone needs to just exist and grow, no matter how much they've earned. So, where do we draw the line? Is it fair for some to have more because they worked harder? Or is it more important that everyone has enough, simply because they are human? This question isn't easy. It makes us think about what a truly fair world looks like. It makes us wonder about our own place in it, and what we might owe to each other, not just what we get for ourselves. It's a deep kind of thinking about fairness, and about what it means to be part of one big human family. My body, my choice, or health for all. Have you ever stopped to think about how your own health choices might ripple out, touching the lives of people you don't even know? It's a deep question, isn't it? On one hand, we feel a powerful pull to say, this is my body, and I decide what happens to it. That feeling of personal control, that ability to choose for yourself, is a really important idea, one people have valued for a very long time. It feels good to make your own decisions about what you eat or how you move. But here's the thing. Our bodies exist in a world full of other bodies. What if a choice you make about your health affects someone else's ability to be healthy? For a very long time, people have thought about this. They realized that living together sometimes meant putting the group's safety first. Imagine a village where everyone shared water from the same well. If one person got sick from the water, it could quickly spread to everyone. So, rules were made, not to take away freedom, but to keep everyone safe. Think about a common cold spreading. Through your school, one person sneezes, and suddenly half the class is sniffling. When someone decides not to get a flu shot, for example, it's a personal choice. But that choice means they might be more likely to catch the flu and then pass it on to someone who can't fight it off easily, like a baby or an older grandparent. It's like being part of a big human orchestra. Each instrument plays its own part, but if one goes off key, it can affect the whole song. So, how do we hold both these truths, my body, my choice, and health, for all together? It's not about one being right, the other wrong. It's about understanding that our individual freedom and our shared well-being are tangled like roots beneath the earth. We are all connected, and our individual choices often echo beyond ourselves, shaping the health of the whole community. It's a quiet act of care for others, having a home, or building a road. Have you ever thought about what makes a place feel like home? It's more than just walls and a roof, isn't it? It's where memories live, where you feel safe, where your heart finds its quiet corner. The right to have a home, to live in peace, feels like a basic part of being human. But here's the thing. Sometimes, the idea of home bumps right up against another important need, progress for everyone. Imagine a family's small house. Maybe generations have lived there, filled with stories and laughter. It's their whole world now. Imagine a city growing, needing new roads to connect neighborhoods, to help ambulances get through, or to let businesses thrive. That road might need to go right where that family's home stands. This isn't a new problem. For centuries, as towns grew into cities, people faced hard choices. Even in ancient Rome, when they built those amazing roads that crisscrossed Europe, someone's field or small farm might have been in the way. It's a conflict between one person's deep right to a safe place, and the larger community's right to develop and connect. Think about your school. Maybe there's a patch of green space, a garden where some students like to read or just be quiet. It's a peaceful spot. But what if the school needed a bigger cafeteria because so many new students were coming? To build it, that quiet garden might have to go. Both things are good, right? A peaceful spot for a few, and a better place for everyone to eat. It makes you pause and really think. So, how do we decide? There's no simple answer, no magic formula. It asks us to look closely, to weigh the quiet comfort of one family's home against the busy hum of a city that helps thousands. It's about trying to understand both sides of the story with kindness and a searching heart. It reminds us that often, the rights we cherish aren't always easy friends. Sometimes, they whisper different needs, making us ponder what it truly means to live together in a fair and thoughtful world. Truth from the news, or my private life. Have you ever felt a quiet place inside you, a space just for your thoughts and feelings? It's where your real self lives, the part only you truly know. It's like your own secret garden, where certain memories bloom and certain worries rest, unseen by others. This deeply personal space, often called privacy, is a human right. It lets us be ourselves, truly and quietly. But then there's the outside world, full of things to know and understand. This is where truth from the news comes in. It's about people having a right to learn what's happening, to understand the world around them. For a long, long time, people have thought about this push and pull. In ancient times, it was easier to keep things private. News traveled slowly, if at all. But as the world sped up, with printing presses and later the internet, information could spread like wildfire. Suddenly, what was once hidden could be known by many, creating new questions about what belonged to the public and what stayed just with you. Here's the thing. Sometimes these two rights, your right to a private life and the public's right to know, can bump right into each other. Imagine your own body. Your heart beats inside you, a private rhythm, right? It keeps you alive, a quiet, constant thrum. No one needs to know its exact beat or how it feels every second. But if a doctor discovers something important about hearts, something that could help everyone stay healthier, that information becomes public knowledge. It gets shared, so we can all learn and benefit. So, how do we decide what stays private, a whisper in your own mind, and what becomes a loud truth for everyone to hear? It's a delicate balance, a quiet hum that asks us to think deeply. We are always navigating these gentle boundaries, deciding when to share a piece of our garden with the world, and when to keep it just for ourselves. Learning to respect both spaces, the loud and the quiet, is part of growing truly wise. It's about honoring your own inner world and the shared world we all live in. Parents' rules, or my own say. Have you ever felt caught between what your parents say and what you really want to do? Like, when do you get to make your own choices? This feeling is pretty normal. It's a quiet tug-of-war, a common spot where different human rights can bump into each other. On one side, there's your growing right to decide things for yourself, to shape who you are. On the other, there's your parents' deep responsibility to keep you safe and guide you. For a long time, the world mostly saw kids as mini adults, or even just property. They didn't have much say at all. But slowly, over many years, people started to understand that children have their own special rights. Rights like being protected, getting an education, and eventually, the right to think and choose for themselves. But here's the thing. While you're still growing up, your parents are also trying to do their best. They have a right and a duty to guide you. Think about it, like learning to ride a bike. At first, an adult holds onto the back. You want to pedal and steer, to feel the wind, but they're holding on because they know you might fall. Their rule is to keep you safe. Your say is wanting to go fast and free. Both feelings are important. Over time, they let go more and more. They trust you. That's how it works with many things. They set rules not to control you, but to help you learn how to make good choices when you're on your own. So, it's not always about one right being more important than the other. It's about how they dance together, how they grow and change as you do. It's about learning to trust yourself, and learning to understand why the people who care about you make the rules they do. And that's how we all grow into people who can make wise choices, both for ourselves and for the world around us. Peaceful protest, or keeping order. Have you ever thought about when people want to speak up, to protest something, but then others worry about things getting messy? That's a real puzzle, isn't it? One of our deepest human rights is the freedom to express ourselves, to gather peacefully and say what we believe. It's a vital part of being human, a way for our voices to be heard. It lets us ask for change when we see something unfair. But then there's another important need, for a community to stay safe and organized. This need is about keeping order. It's about preventing chaos, making sure everyone can go about their day without fear. Without some rules, things can become really difficult for everyone. Long ago, thinkers realized that if everyone did exactly what they wanted, society would fall apart. So, rules were made for the good of all. But how much do those rules shrink the space for people to speak their minds, especially when they feel something is deeply wrong? This is where the two ideas can clash. Think about a quiet library. You have the right to talk, to share ideas, but others have the right to a quiet space to read and study. If too many people talk loudly, the peace of the library is gone for everyone. So, there are rules. But what if someone needs to urgently whisper a very important message? The right to speak meets the need for order. This isn't about right or wrong in a simple way. It's about finding that fragile balance. How do we let people shout their truths without trampling on the quiet spaces others need? How do we keep things safe without silencing important voices? It's a question societies have wrestled with forever, a quiet hum in our human story, always asking for careful thought and a gentle heart. My beliefs, or being inclusive. Have you ever felt a strong pull between what you truly believe in and making sure everyone around you feels welcome? It's a quiet tension many of us carry, sometimes without even realizing it. On one side, we have the deep, powerful human right to think, believe, and speak freely. It's about being true to ourselves, holding on to ideas that feel like our very core. But then, there's another equally important right, the right for everyone to be treated fairly, with dignity, and to feel like they belong, no matter their background or who they are. This isn't a new problem. For centuries, humans have wrestled with how to live together when their beliefs clash. Imagine ancient communities, each with their own gods, rules, and ways of life. When these groups met, the question always arose: how do we honor our truth without erasing theirs? How do we build a shared world when our individual worlds are so different? It's a deeply human puzzle, etched into our history. Think about a school project. Maybe you're working on a group presentation about a topic you feel really passionate about, and you have strong ideas on how it must be done. Your right to express your vision is clear. But then, a classmate has a totally different approach, one that might actually make other group members feel more included or their contributions more valued. If you stick strictly to your way, are you shutting out their voice? It's about finding a path where your unique voice can still shine, but it doesn't dim someone else's light. This isn't about choosing one right over the other, but about stretching our understanding. It asks us to hold our beliefs gently, with open hands, ready to make space for someone else's truth. It's a quiet bravery, learning to listen deeply, even when what we hear challenges our own firmest ideas. It's about building a wider, kinder world, one gentle step at a time. Learning my way, or what the school teaches. Have you ever sat in class, listening, and wondered if there's more to the story than what's in the textbook? What if the truth we learn isn't the whole picture, or just one way of seeing things? Here's the thing: learning isn't only about memorizing facts. It's about figuring out how different ideas fit together, or how they sometimes clash, especially with big ideas, like human rights. Schools teach us rules, but the world outside often shows different rules, different histories. That's where it gets interesting. Think about it. For a long time, people believed the earth was flat. That was the truth taught. Then, smart thinkers, by careful looking, questioned it. They brought up new ideas. Eventually, our understanding changed. It wasn't that old teachers were wrong on purpose. It was just the understanding of their time. The world keeps turning, and so do our ideas. Even ancient thinkers argued about what was truly fair. Those old arguments still echo today. It's a bit like learning to draw. Your art teacher might show you one way to draw a tree, but then you step outside, really look, and realize there are so many ways to capture its beauty. Each way is valid. No single drawing is the only tree. Your teacher's way is a guide, but your own eye and hand will find a unique path. So, what does this mean for understanding our rights? True learning is often a quiet journey inside you. It's about listening to what's taught, yes, but it's also about noticing the questions that pop up. It's about looking at the world with your own eyes and letting your heart feel what feels right. Sometimes, the most important lessons aren't just given, they're found, slowly, within yourself, as you walk your own path, working hard or resting enough. Have you ever found yourself feeling completely worn out, your eyes heavy, but there's still so much left to do? Maybe a big test tomorrow, or a game you've been practicing for. It's a quiet tug-of-war inside us, isn't it? On one side, there's the deep urge to create, to achieve, to work hard, and make things happen. We have a right to use our talents, to contribute, to find purpose in our efforts. But then, on the other side, there's a quiet whisper, a deep need for rest. Your body, your mind, they both need time to heal, to reset. It's a right, too, this need for pause, for peace. Think about it. Long ago, people worked endless hours, dawn till dusk, with little time for anything else. So, they fought for something called the right to rest, for weekends, for limits on work hours. It was a big deal, because they knew, without rest, people couldn't truly live or think clearly. Here's the thing, Sometimes these two important rights bump into each other. Imagine you have a huge science project. You could stay up all night, working, trying to make it perfect. And yes, you might finish it. But then, the next day, during the actual presentation, your mind feels like mud. You're slow, you can't focus, and all that hard work might not shine because you're running on empty. It's like trying to run a race on an uncharged phone. It might start, but it won't finish well. There's a gentle wisdom in knowing when to push and when to pause. It's not about being lazy, but about honoring your whole self. It's the quiet strength of knowing that rest isn't giving up. It's actually preparing for stronger work later. Finding that balance, that sweet spot between effort and ease, is a lifelong journey. And that's why it matters. Respecting our own need for rest helps us respect that same vital need in others, too. Saving the planet, or growing the town. Have you ever stopped to wonder about the ground beneath your feet? The trees standing tall, or the empty field waiting for something new? Sometimes, the choices we make about how we live clash with the very earth that holds us. Here's the thing. Humans have a right to build, to grow, to create towns and cities where we can live and work. We need houses, schools, shops, but the planet also has a right to be healthy. It needs its forests, its clean water, its wide open spaces. For a long time, people mostly thought of nature as something to be used, a giant store of wood, water, and land. Our ancestors built great civilizations by shaping the world. But over time, we learned that the earth isn't endless. Its health is our health. Its future is our future. So, a new idea grew, that protecting the environment isn't just a nice thing, but a human responsibility tied to our right to a good life. This understanding helps us see a new kind of right, the right of the planet itself. Imagine our own town. Maybe there's a beautiful patch of woods nearby, full of old trees and quiet paths. It's where some rare birds live, and where the air feels extra fresh. Now, imagine the town decides it needs a new factory or houses to bring in jobs and families, and the best spot is right where those woods are. Do we clear the trees for progress, for people, or do we protect the ancient quiet, for the birds, for the air, for generations who might never see such a place again? This isn't about simple right or wrong. It's about a deep, quiet conflict inside us. It's about balancing our immediate human needs with the long, slow breath of the planet. Finding the path forward means listening to both the whispers of the wind through the leaves and the hopeful chatter of a growing community. It means making choices that allow life to bloom, both human and wild, side by side. Quick justice, or getting it exactly right. Have you ever had a moment when you just wanted something solved now, like really fast? Maybe you were waiting for a friend to apologize, or for a game to end so you could finally know who won. But then, there are other times when you know that getting it perfectly right, without any mistakes, is much more important, even if it takes a long time. Here's the thing. When we talk about human rights, these two ideas often bump into each other. We want justice to be quick. If someone is being hurt, we want that to stop immediately. We want wrongs to be fixed fast. This is a very powerful human need for immediate relief. But sometimes, truly understanding a situation and making sure everyone involved gets a fair chance to speak takes time. A lot of time. For centuries, people have wrestled with this. In ancient times, justice often meant quick payback. Someone wronged you, and you wronged them back, fast. But as societies grew, thinkers began to ask, is quick always fair? What if we punish the wrong person? What if there's a deeper story we're missing? So, ideas about careful trials, listening to all sides, and seeking the full truth started to become really important. Think about a baker making a special cake for a birthday. They could just throw all the ingredients together as fast as possible, bake it quickly, and call it done. It would be fast, but it probably wouldn't taste very good, and it might even fall apart. Or, the baker could take their time. They could measure carefully, mix slowly, bake at the right temperature for the right amount of time. That takes longer, but the final cake is beautiful and delicious. Justice is a bit like that cake. So, here's the quiet reflection. Human rights sometimes call for immediate action, especially when someone is in danger. But they also call for deep care, for listening, for making absolutely sure we understand before we act. The challenge isn't about choosing one over the other. It's about trying to find that incredibly difficult balance, knowing that both speed and thoroughness are vital for a world where everyone's rights are truly respected. My property line, or neighbor's fun. Have you ever thought about what's truly yours? Not just your favorite shirt, but the space around you, the ground you walk on, the air you breathe in your backyard. Here's the thing, human rights often talk about freedom and safety. But what happens when my freedom, on my land, makes it harder for you to enjoy your freedom, on your land? Imagine a line, a silent, invisible line. It marks where my property ends and yours begins. For centuries, people have drawn these lines. People understood why we needed them. They knew owning land gave a sense of belonging and security, a place to be safe, to grow, to build. This right to property is a big deal, a cornerstone of freedom. It means you can generally do what you want within those invisible borders. But here's the problem. What if what I do on my property impacts you? Think about a bright summer evening. You're trying to relax, and from next door, there's a party. Loud music thumps through your walls. Your neighbor has a right to enjoy their property, to have fun, and you have a right to peace and quiet in your own home. See how these two rights can crash into each other. It's like two waves meeting in the ocean. They both have energy, but where they meet, things get messy. That's not about one person being right and the other wrong. It's about how we learn to share this one planet, this one neighborhood. Sometimes, finding a balance means dimming the music a bit, or talking it out. It asks us to stretch our understanding, to see beyond our own invisible lines, and remember that our peace often connects to someone else's bit. It's about finding harmony in the shared spaces of life, sharing my art, or not offending anyone. Have you ever held a piece of art you created, maybe a poem, a painting, or even a song you wrote? There's a special feeling when you want to share that part of your soul with the world. We all have a basic human right to express ourselves freely, to let our thoughts and feelings out, to create and share without being stopped. This right, called freedom of expression, has been talked about for centuries. It's seen as a vital part of a society where people can grow, share new ideas, and question things. It's how we push boundaries and learn from each other. But here's the thing, there's another equally important right, the right to feel safe, respected, and not face unfair treatment or hate. So, what happens when someone's art or words deeply upset, stereotype, or even spread harmful ideas about a certain group of people? Think about a band that writes a song they think is just funny, but its lyrics use hurtful words or make fun of a whole group of people based on how they look or where they come from. The band feels they have the right to sing whatever they want. But for listeners from that group, the song doesn't feel like art. It feels like a punch, taking away their sense of worth and safety. This challenge is like two powerful forces pulling in different directions. On one side, there's the right to create and share. On the other, there's the right for everyone to live free from prejudice and targeted attacks. How do we draw that line? Where does one person's freedom begin to chip away at another's dignity and peace? It asks us to look closely at the power of our creations. Art can build bridges, making us understand each other better. But it can also put up walls, causing hurt that's hard to heal. Finding that delicate balance means understanding that true freedom isn't just about what we can do, but also about how our actions touch the hearts and lives of everyone around us. It's about creating with care, remembering that our voice is strong, and with strength comes a quiet kind of responsibility. Medical secrets, or public health needs. Imagine holding a secret deep within yourself. Maybe it's a thought, or a personal detail you don't share with anyone. It feels like it's yours, right? Your medical information can feel like that too. It's private. It's part of your personal story. But here's the thing. Sometimes, what happens with one person's health can ripple out, touching everyone around them. Think about it this way. You have a right to your own privacy, including your health records. It's a very old idea that a person's body and life are their own. Doctors, for centuries, have held patient information very close, building trust. But then there's this other powerful idea. The health of the whole group matters. When a sickness spreads, like a cold through a classroom, suddenly everyone's well-being is connected. For a long time, people have learned that working together, sharing what they know, can protect the whole community from danger. It's like how we learn to build clean water systems or create rules for food safety. It protects us all. This creates a quiet tension. Say you learn a friend has a really contagious illness. Do you tell other friends so they can be careful, even if your friend wanted it kept quiet? It's not about judging, but about safety. It's a bit like a school fire drill. You might not want to stop what you're doing, but everyone needs to know and act for the safety of the whole school. The choice isn't easy, so where do we draw the line? When does your private health become something the community needs to know? For everyone's safety, it's a deeply human question, woven into the fabric of our lives. We keep searching for that balance, for a way to honor each person's story, while also caring for the shared human journey. It reminds us that our individual lives, in their beautiful complexity, are always connected to the wider world around us. Helping one person, or helping many. Have you ever stood at a fork in the road, wondering if your choice would help just one person, or if it could spread out and help many? It's a quiet question that often hums beneath the surface when we talk about human rights. Sometimes what's best for one person might seem to bump up against what's best for a whole group. Think about it this way. Every person has rights, like a right to be safe, or a right to get help when they're sick. But what if there isn't enough help to go around for everyone? This is where things get really complex. Long ago, people started to wonder if it was always better to try and do the most good for the most people. It's a heavy thought, right? Like a silent tug-of-war in the heart, trying to decide where to pull. Here's an example that might help you think about it. Imagine a small town with only one doctor, and this doctor has a new, special medicine. This medicine can completely cure one person with a rare illness, but it would use up all of it. Or, that same amount of medicine could give a little bit of help to 20 people with a less serious, but still uncomfortable, sickness. Both choices involve helping. Both involve people who have a right to good health. But what does the doctor do? Give everything to one person, or a small amount to many? It's not about right or wrong answers, because often there aren't any easy ones. It's about facing these difficult choices, understanding that resources can be limited, and that human needs can pull in different directions. This question makes us think deeply about compassion, fairness, and the vast, connected web of human lives. It reminds us that our choices, big or small, always ripple out into the world. My own identity, or what others expect. Have you ever wondered who you truly are? Not just your name or likes, but the real you. It's a quiet question. Are we who we feel we are, or who others expect us to be? Here's the thing. The world paints a picture of us early on. Family, friends, even social media, all have ideas about what's cool or normal. These ideas can guide us, like a soft current. Thinkers have long pondered this. They wondered if our true self is a hidden spring, or clay molded by others. An old Greek thinker, Plato, said know yourself. He meant understanding your own truth, not just what others tell you. Think about a chameleon. It changes color to blend in, to stay safe. We sometimes do something similar. Maybe you laugh at a joke you don't find funny, or pretend to like certain music, just to fit in. That's like changing your color. It feels safer. But what color are you, truly, when no one is watching? And that's the beauty of growing up. It's a journey to discover your true color, your quiet melody. It's about listening to that soft whisper inside, more than loud voices outside. It's okay to be different. It's important. Your real self, truly you, is precious. It's waiting for you to find and understand it, to let it shine. It's always there, like a quiet star, waiting to be seen. Building a business, or protecting workers. Have you ever dreamed of creating something of your own? Maybe a cool new app, a small shop, or even just selling lemonade on a hot day. That feeling, that spark to build, to create value, it's a big part of being human. It's a right, really, to be able to use your ideas and energy to start something. We often call this the right to try and make a living, or to own a business. But here's the thing, when you build a business, you might also need help. You might need people to work with you, and those workers, they have rights too. They have a right to be safe, to be treated fairly, to earn enough money to live, and to have decent working conditions. This is the right to fair labor practices, to decent work. Here's where it gets complicated. Imagine a time long ago, like during the Industrial Revolution. Factories popped up everywhere. People worked long hours for little pay, sometimes in dangerous places. There weren't many rules back then. So, people started speaking up. They said, hey, this isn't right. They fought for things like shorter workdays and safer environments. They were protecting their human rights as workers. But sometimes, these new rules made it harder or more expensive to run a business. A business owner might say, if I have to pay everyone more or buy all new safety gear, I might not be able to keep my business going. Think of it like this. Imagine you're building a tower with LEDs. You have the right to build it as tall and as fast as you want, using your creativity. That's your business dream. But what if your younger sibling wants to play too, and they have a right to not have blocks thrown at them, or to have enough space to build their own smaller structure nearby without you hogging all the pieces? You both have rights to build, but your building needs to respect their safety and space. You have to find a way for your right to build and their right to be safe and have space to exist together. So, how do we balance these two important ideas? The right to build your dream and the right for workers to be safe and respected. It's like a gentle pull, a constant dance. It asks us to think deeply about fairness and what it really means for everyone to thrive, not just one person's dream, but everyone's well-being. It's a question we keep asking, always trying to find that gentle balance point in a world full of different needs. Free access to everything, or keeping kids safe. Have you ever thought about the incredible freedom we have, especially online? It feels like the entire world, with all its knowledge, is just a few clicks away. You can find almost anything, learn anything, connect with people across oceans. This sense of limitless possibility, this right to explore, is a core part of human rights. It's about everyone having a voice, having access to information, and being able to discover for themselves. Imagine it like a vast, open library, with every book ever written, always there, always open for you to wander through. But here's the thing, sometimes, what seems like pure freedom can bump up against another very important need: protection. For centuries, long before the internet, societies have tried to keep young people safe. It's a deep instinct, a human right to be protected, to grow up without too much worry or danger. This isn't just about physical safety, it's about guarding your mind and heart from things that might be overwhelming or harmful. Think about how a town puts a fence around a park, not to stop the fun, but to keep kids from running into a busy street, or how a parent might set a time when you have to be home, not to be controlling, but because they care about your well-being. The internet brings this ancient idea of protection into a brand new digital space. In some ways, it's like a huge, unfenced playground. We want you to be curious, to find information, to share your thoughts. But we also want to shield you from content that's scary, false, or just too much for someone still learning about the world. So, where do we draw the line? Do we say, everyone, no matter their age, gets to see everything, all the time? Or do we say, we must filter and guard, even if it means less freedom to explore every single corner? It's a deep question, isn't it? It makes you think about that delicate space between discovery and danger. It makes you wonder how we can give young people the keys to such a vast world, while still guiding them safely within its sometimes wild walls. There's no simple answer, but truly thinking about it, feeling that gentle push and pull between freedom and safety, helps us understand how complicated and how human these rights really are. Voting easily or voting securely. Have you ever thought about how we vote? It seems simple, right? You walk in, mark your choice, and that's it. But there's a quiet tension hidden within this basic act, a deep question we all face as a society. On one side, there's the right to vote. Every person, when they're old enough, should be able to cast their ballot without too much trouble. This means polling places nearby, maybe even voting by mail, and clear instructions. It's about making sure every voice can be heard, no matter where they live or what challenges they face. It feels deeply unfair if someone can't vote just because it's too hard. But then, on the other side, there's the right to vote securely. This means knowing for sure that only eligible people vote, and that every single vote is counted accurately, without mistakes or cheating. It's about trust. If people don't trust the results, then the whole idea of our voices mattering starts to fall apart. So, making voting super easy might sometimes make it harder to be absolutely sure about security. And making it super secure might mean adding steps that make it harder for everyone to vote. For a long time, people fought hard just to get the right to vote. Imagine how important it was to them, a treasure they finally held. But along with that treasure comes the challenge of protecting it. Think about a school play's audition process. You want everyone who wants to try out to have a fair chance, easy access. But you also need to make sure the judges choose fairly and consistently, so the best people get the parts, and everyone trusts the outcome's security. It's a delicate balance. This isn't about one right being more important than the other. It's about finding that sweet spot, that gentle balance, where both ideas can live together. We want to hear every voice, and we want to be sure every voice is truly heard and counted in a way we can all believe in. It's a constant dance between openness and protection, a puzzle we keep working on, aiming for a future where trust blooms. My culture, or fitting in. Have you ever felt a quiet tug, like two different paths are opening right in front of you? On one path stands your culture, the songs your family sings, the stories passed down through generations, the way you celebrate special days. This is the rich ground where your identity grows, something deeply yours. But then, there's another path, the strong human need to fit in, to belong to a group, to share laughter and inside jokes with friends. Here's the thing, human rights say we all have the right to keep our culture alive, to honor our traditions. And another right says we should be free to join any community, to feel included and not alone. But sometimes, these two powerful rights can feel like they're pulling against each other. For a long time, people moving to new places, or even just growing up, have faced this silent question. Do you hold on to every piece of your heritage, even if it makes you feel different? Or do you blend in, adopt the new ways, to feel more accepted? Think about moving to a new school, for example. Maybe your old school had a unique way of doing things, like a special tradition for Spirit Week, or certain words only your friends used. Now, everyone around you does things differently. Do you keep doing things your old way, even if it feels a little lonely or strange? Or do you start talking like everyone else, joining in their new traditions, even if it feels unfamiliar at first? It's not about giving up who you are, but wondering how much you need to change to feel connected. It's a delicate balance, a quiet dance between holding on to the roots that make you you and reaching out to connect with the wider world. There's no single right answer, and it's a journey we all navigate in different ways. Sometimes, you find a way to weave your culture into the new space. Other times, you learn to appreciate both. And in that learning, we discover that true belonging often means making space for everyone's unique light to shine, without anyone having to dim theirs. Speaking up loudly, or keeping the peace. Have you ever felt caught between saying what's true and keeping things calm? It's a quiet push and pull, a whisper in your heart that asks, is it better to speak up, even if it causes a stir, or to stay silent for the sake of peace? This isn't just a tough choice for individuals. It's a question societies have wrestled with for a very long time, especially when we think about human rights. Imagine a town where everyone has the right to express their ideas freely. That sounds wonderful, right? But what if someone's words deeply hurt another person, challenging their right to feel safe and respected? Here's the thing, sometimes one right, like freedom of speech, can feel like it bumps into another, like the right to dignity or safety. Think about ancient Greece, where philosophers debated openly, but even then, there were rules about what you could say, especially about the gods or the state. They knew even then that words carry weight and can stir up trouble. Consider a class project. Everyone has the right to contribute their ideas. But what if one student's idea is really strong, and they insist it's the only way, making others feel their voices don't matter? If they speak too loudly, demanding their way, it might make the group uneasy. The harmony of the group, where everyone feels heard and respected, might get broken. So, the right to speak up, and the right to a peaceful, respectful environment, suddenly feel like they're on different paths. It's a delicate balance, like walking a tightrope. On one side is the powerful urge to shout out what you believe is right, to challenge unfairness. On the other side is the deep human need for calm, for community, for a sense of belonging without constant friction. There isn't always a simple answer. Sometimes, the bravest thing is to speak, and other times, it's to listen, and to find a way for both truth and peace to breathe in the same space. It's about seeking wisdom, not just winning. My music, or their quiet time. Imagine this, you've had a long day, and all you want to do is blast your favorite song, singing along at the top of your lungs. It feels good, right? Like pure freedom. But here's the thing, what if your neighbor, just a wall away, has had an equally long day? What if their right then, is to a quiet home, to peace, to simply think their own thoughts without a pulsing beat shaking their floor? This is where human rights start to nudge each other, like people trying to fit through a narrow door at the same time. You have a right to enjoy your music, to express yourself. That's a real freedom, a part of who you are. But others have a right to quiet, to a peaceful space where they can rest, study, or simply exist without interruption. For ages, communities have wrestled with this balancing act. How do we all live together when our natural desires or freedoms sometimes clash? It's not a new problem. Think about ancient villages, or even early towns where homes were packed close. People learned that one person's joyful celebration could be another's restless night. It's about how much our individual bubble can expand before it touches someone else's. Consider it like two waves in the ocean. One wave is your music, strong and wanting to spread out. The other wave is your neighbor's need for quiet, calm, and wanting to be undisturbed. When they meet, they don't just pass through each other easily. They interact, they push and pull. So, it's not about saying one right is better than another. It's about remembering we share this world, this block, this building. True freedom, maybe, isn't just doing whatever you want without thought. It's also understanding where your freedom ends and someone else's begins. It's about finding that quiet hum of respect, allowing both waves to exist, even if they can't always crash exactly where they want to. Using resources, or saving them for later. What if you held the very last piece of a favorite candy, or maybe the only marker of a special color? Do you use it right now, enjoying it fully, or do you save it, thinking about someone else who might need it, or even your future self? This quiet moment of choice, between using and saving, holds a much bigger question. Here's the thing. Human rights often speak about what we need to live well today. We have a right to clean water, to food, to a safe place to live. Two things that help us be healthy and grow. But all these vital things come from the earth. They are resources. And these resources, whether they are fresh water or ancient trees, are not endless. The world has a finite amount of everything. So how do we balance our right to use what we need now with the deep, quiet right of people who will live here long after us? It's a very old question, as old as humanity itself. Even ancient communities, hundreds and thousands of years ago, faced this. They knew if they hunted every animal or cut down every tree in their forest, there would be nothing left for their children or their children's children. They had to think about the harvest today, and also about planting the seeds for tomorrow. Their survival, and the survival of all who followed, depended on this careful choice. Think about a shared supply cupboard at school, full of art materials. Imagine if one class used up all the paint or all the glue sticks on their big, exciting project. They had a right to use the supplies for their learning. Right. It was part of their right to education and creative expression. But then, what about the next class, or the class after that? Their right to create, to learn, might be limited or even blocked because the resources were all gone, used up by those who came before. This quiet tension is a big part of understanding human rights deeply. It's about a fragile dance between, I need this now, and they will need this later. It whispers, how do we live fully in this moment without emptying the future's cup? It's a deep, challenging question that asks us to consider not just our own lives, but the lives of those we will never meet. We need to find a way for everyone, across all time, to have enough. This balance is a gift we pass on. Parents deciding, or kids' rights at play. Imagine a world where your choices are always made for you. Or, imagine total freedom, but you're not ready for big decisions. Here's the thing. Human rights often meet in a delicate balance, especially for young people. We talk about the right to education, health, and expression. But what happens when a parent's right to guide and protect bumps up against a child's growing right to choose? This isn't about right or wrong, but a complicated space where two important ideas gently push against each other. For a long time, children were mostly seen as miniature adults, or just property. Their thoughts didn't count in the eyes of the law, but over time, people understood childhood as a special, important time. Thinkers began to suggest that kids, even young ones, have their own needs and a right to grow. They called it evolving capacities, meaning as you get older, your ability to understand and decide things gets stronger. So, your rights kind of grow with you, like a plant reaching for the sun. Don't think about a medical decision. Maybe a parent wants their child to get a vaccine for safety. But what if the teenager, learning about their body, feels strongly against it. The parent has a duty to protect and guide. But the teenager also has a right to bodily autonomy, a right to make choices about their own body, especially as they get older. It's like two magnets with the same pole, both powerful, both pushing. Finding where the parent's magnet meets the child's growing pull is the challenge. This isn't about one side winning, it's about finding a path where both rights can breathe. As you grow, your voice gains weight, and with that voice comes more responsibility. The space between a parent's loving guidance and a child's journey to independence is sacred, full of quiet lessons. It's where trust is built, and where the next generation learns what it truly means to be free, but also how to choose wisely. It's a dance, not a battle, and both steps are important. Owning land, or nature's space. Have you ever looked at a vast forest or a wide open field and wondered, who owns this? It's a simple question, but the answer can get pretty complicated. We talk a lot about the right to own things, like a phone, a bike, or even a house. But what about the ground beneath our feet? The idea of owning land is super old, like way back in history. For a long time, people just lived on the land, moving with the seasons, sharing space. Then, slowly, folks started drawing lines, putting up fences. They began to say, this piece of earth is mine. This idea that you can divide up the planet and claim parts of it is a huge part of how societies work today. It means you can build a home, start a farm, or keep others from stepping onto your property. It's a right that helps us feel safe and secure, like we have a place. Think about your backyard. It's your space, right? You can plant flowers, play games, or just relax there. That feels good, to have your own patch of earth. But what if a rare, beautiful bird needs that exact spot for its nest? Or what if that land is part of an ancient path for animals to migrate? Your right to your backyard might then bump up against nature's needs. So, here's the thing. Our right to own land, to have a private space, can sometimes feel like it conflicts with the natural world. Forests are cut down to build houses. Wetlands are filled in for shopping malls. Rivers are dammed for electricity. All because someone owns that land and has a right to use it. But doesn't nature also have a right to exist, to flow, to breathe? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Is the earth something to be owned, or something we are simply borrowing? Maybe true ownership isn't about fences and deeds, but about being a good caretaker. It's a deep thought, how we can live on this planet, making our homes, but also leaving enough room for everything else to thrive. We all share this one amazing planet. Finding a way for our rights and nature's needs to peacefully exist is a quiet journey we're all on, together. My story, or someone else's reputation. Have you ever thought about how complicated telling your truth can be? Imagine you have a story, something important that happened to you. You feel a deep need to share it, to speak your experience out loud. This is about your right to express yourself, to have your voice heard. It's part of human freedom, a right many people have fought for over centuries. Think about ancient philosophers, like those in Greece, who debated the importance of speaking freely, or later, people like John Milton, who argued for freedom of the press. They believed that open discussion helps everyone find truth. But here's the problem. Sometimes, telling your story involves talking about other people. What if your truth, your experience, paints someone else in a bad light? What if what you say, even if it feels true to you, harms their name or standing? That person also has a right. They have a right to their reputation, to not be unfairly slandered or hurt by false words. This is where things get tricky. Whose right wins? It's like a delicate balance. Picture a seesaw. On one side, there's your freedom to tell your side of things. On the other side, there's someone else's right to protect their good name. If one side goes too far down, the other shoots up. If you spread rumors that aren't true, even if you think they are, that can really hurt someone. Think about a student who spreads a story about another student, maybe on social media. Even if they heard it from someone else, and they believe it can crush someone's reputation, make them feel terrible, and even mess up their school life. It's a heavy thing. So, when we share our stories, especially those involving others, it's wise to pause, to think about the echoes our words might create. It's about understanding that our rights don't exist in a bubble. They connect, they intertwine, and sometimes they gently push against each other. Finding that balance, that thoughtful space, between speaking your truth and respecting someone else's worth, is a quiet act of wisdom. Getting medical help, or deciding for myself. Have you ever thought about being truly free, especially with your own body and health? It's a big question. On one hand, everyone should have the right to get medical help. Imagine being sick and not seeing a doctor. That's a scary thought. It feels right that people deserve care. But here's the thing. What if that help is something you don't want? What if doctors say a treatment is best, but you feel otherwise? This brings up another important right. The right to decide for yourself. It's called bodily autonomy. It means you control your own body. For ages, thinkers discussed freedom, protecting people from being forced, even for their own good. Personal choice was sacred. So, we balanced the right to health, often getting help, and the right to choose, deciding what help to accept or refuse. Think about having a bad cold. Your parent wants you to take medicine. Maybe you hate the taste, or just want to rest. Your parent wanted to help, showing care. But you might have felt, this is my body, I decide what goes in it. Or consider vaccines. A community benefits if everyone gets vaccinated to stop disease. That's public health, protecting many. But some individuals feel they should choose whether to get a shot, even if it impacts others. So, how do we choose? How do we weigh offered care against the deep right to make our own choices? It's not about one being right or wrong. It's understanding two good ideas can gently bump into each other. True freedom isn't always simple. It involves a thoughtful dance, getting the help we might need, and honoring the quiet, powerful voice inside that says, this is my body, these are my choices. It asks us to think about kindness and respect, for ourselves and for others. What I believe, or what the law says. Have you ever felt deep down that something was right or wrong, but then a rule or a law said the exact opposite? It's a strange feeling, isn't it? Like your inner compass is pointing one way, but the map shows another. Here's the thing about human rights. Sometimes, what we believe to be true and fair for everyone doesn't always line up perfectly with what the actual laws say. For a long time, people have tried to build societies where everyone can live well. It's never been easy. Ancient thinkers wrestled with how to balance what one person needed with what the whole group needed. They wrote down rules to make things fair. But feelings and personal truths are tricky. What if your truth bumps right into someone else's truth, and then both of those bump into a written law? Imagine you really believe everyone should be allowed to speak their mind, loudly and clearly, wherever they are. That's a powerful idea, right? It feels free. But then, a school rule says you can't shout in the library, because other students have a right to quiet study time. And that's a law, a rule meant to protect their right. So, your deep belief in loud free speech conflicts with another, students' right to peace. Here's what happened. Two rights, both good, run into each other, and a rule steps in. It shows us that the world isn't always neat. Sometimes, what your heart knows to be true, and what a rulebook says, are different paths. It doesn't mean one is bad and the other is good. It just means we have to think carefully, feel deeply, and try to understand all sides. It's about learning to walk gently in a world full of different beliefs and important rules, always trying to find a path that honors as many truths as possible, building new things, or protecting old places. Have you ever thought about what we gain when we build something new, and what we might lose at the same time? It's a quiet question, but it sits at the heart of many human rights conflicts. Imagine, we want to build a new road, or a bigger school, or even a shiny new park. These things can bring so much good, right? More jobs, easier travel, better learning spaces. That sounds like a clear win. But here's the thing. Sometimes, to build that new road or school, we have to clear away something old. Maybe it's an ancient forest where rare birds nest, or a historic building that holds decades of memories. What happens then? The right to build and grow, to have new opportunities, bumps into the right to protect our environment, our culture, and the places that tell us who we are. Think about it like this. Your grandparents might have a really old, creaky treehouse in their backyard. It's not fancy, maybe a bit wobbly, but it's where they told stories, where your parents played, and where you had your first sleepover. It holds all those memories. Now, what if you had the chance to build an amazing, huge, modern fort in its place? This new fort would be super cool, safe, and big enough for everyone. But it means taking down the old treehouse. Which choice feels right? For a long time, people mostly focused on building, pushing forward. But over the years, We've learned that the whispers of the past, the quiet places, and the living world around us also matter. These old places carry wisdom, and they are part of our shared human story. So, the question isn't just about choosing one or the other. It's about finding a gentle balance. It's about asking ourselves, how can we build tomorrow without forgetting the treasures of yesterday? How can we make progress in a way that truly honors everything we value? My privacy online, or keeping everyone safe? Do you ever wonder who truly sees what you do online? All those apps asking for your location, or friends tagging you in pictures. It's a lot to think about. It feels like your own quiet space. Your deepest thoughts should be just that, entirely yours. This feeling is about privacy, the soft right to keep things close, to control what others know about your unique self. It's like having a special room inside your mind, with a gentle lock on the door. But what if knowing just a little about that room, or about where you are, could help someone else, or even protect a whole lot of people? This is where keeping everyone safe comes in. Sometimes, helping to protect the larger group means sharing small pieces of information. These are like puzzle pieces that, when gathered, help us see a bigger, clearer picture. Imagine a long time ago, in a small village, people would share who was feeling unwell, not to gossip, but so others could avoid getting sick. It was about knowing just enough to help keep the whole community healthy, even if it meant someone's illness wasn't entirely private. Think about a school fire drill. When the alarm rings, everyone moves from their own desk to a specific meeting spot outside. You might wish for the quiet comfort of your classroom, your personal corner. That's your choice, your private space. But in a real fire, everyone must be accounted for. The school needs to know where each person is, not to intrude, but to ensure every student and teacher is safe. It's a moment where individual privacy steps back for the safety of the whole group. So, here's the thing. Our online world is vast and connected. What one person shares, or what tiny bits of information are gathered, can sometimes be used to help find someone lost, or to warn others about a hidden danger. It's a constant dance between wanting to keep our lives private, held close, and understanding that sometimes a tiny spark of shared information helps build a stronger, more protective net for all of us. There's no simple answer, but it's so important to think about this gentle balance between feeling secure in your own space and truly caring for the security of everyone around you. The right to protest, or keeping the city flowing. Imagine for a moment a loud parade moving down your street. You're watching, maybe cheering, but then you realize the buses can't get through. People are late for work. Ambulances are stuck. This is where a big question comes up. What happens when one good thing bumps into another good thing? Here's the thing. We have this powerful idea, the right to protest. It means people can gather, speak out, and show what they believe is right or wrong. Think about history. So many important changes, like people getting the right to vote or fighting for fairness, started with groups of people protesting in the streets. It's how voices are heard when they feel ignored. It's how change often begins. But then, there's also a need for things to flow. Cities need to keep moving. Hospitals need to be reached. Kids need to get to school. People need to get home. This isn't just about convenience. It's about safety in daily life. If roads are always blocked, if businesses can't open, or if emergency services are delayed, that hurts many people. Think about a school hallway at dismissal time. Everyone wants to leave, right? But if one group stops in the middle to talk, or to make a statement, it jams up the whole hall. No one can move. It's frustrating for everyone else who just needs to get to their next class, or out the door. So here's the problem. When a protest, a powerful way to speak up, completely stops a city that's essential for everyone, where do we find the balance? Where does one right end and another begin? It's not about one being wrong. It's about looking at these two important needs to be heard, and for daily life to function, and wondering how they can both exist, without one completely crushing the other. It's a delicate dance, always. School dress code, or my style. Have you ever looked at your closet in the morning and wondered what your clothes say about you? Like, what story does your favorite hoodie tell? Or those worn-out sneakers? We often feel our clothes are a part of who we are, a way to show the world a bit of our inside. This is sometimes called freedom of expression. It means you have the right to show your thoughts and feelings, and for many, that includes how they dress. But then there's school. School usually has rules, right? And sometimes, these rules include a dress code. Schools often make these rules to keep everyone safe, to make sure no one is distracted, and to create a feeling of equality. They want to make sure the focus stays on learning for everyone. Think about it. A long time ago, in many places, people wore very specific outfits for their jobs or social groups. It helped everyone understand their role. Even today, doctors wear scrubs, and construction workers wear hard hats. These clothes aren't just for style. They're for a purpose, often about safety or function. Here's the thing. This is where rights can rub against each other. Your right to express yourself freely might bump into the school's need to keep things orderly and fair for everyone. It's a bit like a sports team. Everyone wears a uniform, right? That uniform shows they are part of the same team, working towards a common goal. The uniform helps the team look organized and united. But even with a uniform, you can still show your personality a little, maybe with how you wear your hair, or a small piece of jewelry. You find a way to be you, inside the team's look. So, how do we balance these two important ideas? How do we show who we are, but also respect the shared space and rules that help everyone learn and feel safe? It's not about one side being completely right and the other completely wrong. Instead, it's a quiet puzzle, asking us to think about how our individual freedoms connect with the well-being of our whole community. It's about finding small ways to show your unique self, even when there are some rules to follow. Getting a job, or fair pay for everyone. Have you ever thought about what it means to work, to earn your own money? There's a quiet promise in our world. Everyone should have a chance to find work, to use their talents. It feels like a basic right, doesn't it? To seek a job that fits you, where you can grow. But here's the thing. This right often bumps up against another, equally important idea. The right to fair pay. Not just any pay, but wages that let you live with dignity, that value your effort. For a long time, people just worked for whatever they could get. If you needed food, you took whatever job was offered, no matter how little it paid. It was about survival. But then, a thought bloomed. Shouldn't work offer more than just survival? Shouldn't it provide a life, a chance to thrive, to dream? This deep feeling led to ideas like a living wage or a minimum wage. It was about respect for labor, a baseline. Imagine this. 2 kids are offering to mow lawns in their neighborhood. One kid, needing money, says they'll do it for $5. The other kid, knowing the effort involved, asks for $20, which is fair. The homeowner can pick the cheaper option. But if everyone starts offering to work for $5, soon no one can earn enough mowing lawns. This simple picture shows how one person's need to get any job can make it harder for everyone to get a fairly paid job. So, how do we hold both these important truths? How do we make sure every person has the freedom to find work, to put their hands and hearts into something meaningful? And how do we ensure their hard work is valued enough to build a good life? It's a quiet puzzle our world tries to solve. It reminds us that sometimes what seems like freedom for one can create ripples, gently changing the landscape for us all, pushing us to think about fairness for the whole community. My home, or the public's path. Have you ever thought about where your quiet space ends and the world's noise begins? Or, what if your right to privacy bumps into someone else's need to feel safe? This is a question people have pondered for a very long time. It's about how much control we have over our own lives, our homes, and our secrets. When that control might affect other people. Think of it like this. You have a right to your private space, your room, your thoughts. But what if something happening there, something you think is nobody else's business, starts to impact people around you? Maybe it's a very loud party late at night, or a less obvious thing, like a bright light shining into a neighbor's window. Constantly, for centuries, societies have wrestled with this idea. Long ago, people built walls to protect what was inside, but they still needed paths for trade and movement. Laws were made, not just to protect individuals, but also to ensure the community could function. It's like a tightrope walk, balancing our deep need for personal freedom with the shared need for a peaceful, safe place to live. Here's the thing, your right to play music loudly in your house is important. It's your space, your choice. But your neighbor also has a right to peace and quiet. So, what happens when those two rights meet? We can't just have everyone doing exactly what they want all the time, because then no one would truly be free or safe. Finding that edge, where one person's freedom starts to limit another's, is a quiet challenge. It asks us to think about how we can share the world while still being truly ourselves. Sharing information or keeping secrets. Have you ever thought about how much we share and how much we hold back? It's a curious dance, isn't it? On one side, there's the right to know. This means we should be able to find out things, to learn, to understand what's happening around us. Information helps us grow as people and as a society. But then, on the other side, there's the quiet whisper of a secret, the right to privacy. This means you get to decide what parts of your life stay just yours, safe from prying eyes. It's like having a private garden inside your mind. For centuries, people have wrestled with this balance. Ancient thinkers knew truth was powerful, but they also understood some truths could hurt. Keeping certain things hidden might protect someone. Think about kingdoms with secret defenses, or families passing down special recipes. These weren't just about power. They were about identity, safety, and a sense of belonging that came from shared, private knowledge. Imagine your school's online gradebook. You have a right to see your own grades, to know how you're doing. That's information you need. But what about your friends' grades? You don't have a right to see those. That's their private information. If someone shared your grades without permission, it would feel wrong, wouldn't it? It shows how our need to know can bump right up against another person's privacy. It's not just about what is known, but who gets to know it, and when. So, this quiet tension stays with us. It asks us to think deeply. How much light should we let in, and how much shadow do we need for comfort? Finding this balance isn't easy. It asks for kindness, understanding, and a gentle respect for everyone's personal space, both in what they choose to share and what they choose to keep sacred. Speedy trials, or careful thinking. Have you ever had to wait for something important, like a test score? You want answers fast, right? It feels unfair to be stuck waiting. This touches on a human right, a speedy trial. If you're accused, your case shouldn't sit forever. You deserve a quick hearing. This stops lives being held in limbo. But here's the thing, another important right bumps into this one. It's the right to a fair trial. For a trial to be truly fair, people need time. Time to gather facts, find witnesses, check evidence, and think carefully. Because getting it wrong, making a mistake, can change someone's life forever. Getting justice right is a huge responsibility. So, these two rights pull in different directions. If we rush, we might miss a vital clue. An innocent person could suffer. But if we take too long, someone is held in limbo. In the past, people were locked up, waiting so long their lives were ruined before justice began. That's why speedy trials became so important. Think about a doctor figuring out why you're not feeling well. You want help fast, but if they just guess, they could make you sicker. They need enough time to run tests, ask questions, to truly think. They must be thorough, but they can't take so long that you get worse waiting. It's about balance, and that's the challenge for justice. We want resolutions quickly, especially for the innocent. But we also need careful time to ensure every detail is understood. A verdict carries such heavy weight. It's not about being fast or slow. It's about finding that thoughtful pace where truth can fairly come to light. My family's ways, or modern ideas. Have you ever wondered if the way things are done in your home, the traditions your family holds dear, sometimes feel different from what the world outside seems to say? It's a quiet whisper, sometimes even a loud thought inside us. Our families teach us deep lessons, respecting elders, putting community first, or the importance of quiet sacrifice. They are often like ancient rivers, flowing through generations, shaping who we are. They hold so much comfort and wisdom, passed down through stories and daily actions. But then, the world outside also has powerful ideas, modern thoughts about individual freedom, about every person having a voice, about choosing your own path. These ideas can feel like a bright, new sunrise, full of possibility. They tell us about universal human rights, things everyone should have, no matter where they come from. These rights are meant to protect us, to make sure each person lives freely and fairly. Here's the thing, sometimes these two powerful currents, the family river and the modern sunrise, can meet and cause a ripple, or even a wave. Think about it like two kinds of plants. One plant, like a sturdy oak, grows slowly, its roots deep in tradition, reaching back for centuries. It values strength in its community and its deep, shared history. Another plant, perhaps a sunflower, turns quickly, towards the brightest light, seeking new energy, focusing on its individual growth and potential. Both are beautiful, both are essential. This isn't about one being right and the other wrong. It's about understanding that human rights, which seem so clear today, have grown over time. They sometimes challenge older ways of thinking. It means holding space in our hearts for both the wisdom of the past and the hopes of the future. It's a journey of listening to both and finding your own gentle balance in between. Caring for animals or using them for food. Have you ever stopped to really think about the animals around us? Maybe you have a pet at home, a dog that greets you at the door, a cat that purrs on your lap. You probably feel a deep connection to them, right? You want them to be safe and happy. But then, there's the food on our plates. Sometimes that food comes from animals too. And here's the thing, those animals, like cows or chickens, can also feel things. They can feel fear, comfort, and pain, much like our pets. So, this brings up a quiet question, a gentle nudge in our minds. If we believe in kindness and protecting what is innocent, how do we decide which animals we care for and which ones we use? For thousands of years, humans have relied on animals for survival. Our ancestors hunted for meat, used hides for warmth, and even tamed animals to help with farm work. It was just how life was. But as we learned more about the world and about science, we started to understand animals better. We saw their complex behaviors, their family bonds. This deeper understanding made us wonder if our old ways still fit with our growing sense of compassion. Imagine you're walking through a field. You see a rabbit hopping freely, maybe a bird singing in a tree. You wouldn't think of hurting them. Your heart might even feel a little lift just watching them. But then, you go to a restaurant and order a burger. That burger came from a cow, an animal that also lived and breathed. This isn't about telling anyone what to eat. It's about noticing the different ways we think about animals. It's about the quiet pull between our ancient needs and our modern feelings. It asks us to reflect, just for a moment, on our place in this shared world. How do we balance our desire for certain foods with our expanding understanding of animal life? There's no easy answer, and that's okay. The goal isn't to find a perfect solution right now, but to simply open our minds to the question, to sit with the thought that being human means making choices that affect all living things. And sometimes, the hardest questions are the ones that lead us to the deepest understanding of ourselves and our values. My health needs, or the doctor's advice. Have you ever felt sick, and the doctor told you something, but it didn't quite feel right? Or maybe you just knew what you needed. This can be a tricky spot. It's about two important ideas that sometimes bump into each other. On one side, you have the right to health. This means you should be able to get good care when you're sick. Doctors study for years. They learn so much about how our bodies work, what illnesses are, and the best ways to get better. Their advice comes from deep knowledge and science, from seeing many people like you. For a long time, people just trusted doctors completely. Their word was seen as law, because they were the experts. But here's the thing, you also have a right to make choices about your own body. This is called autonomy. It means you get a say in what happens to you. Think about it like this. Imagine your favorite teacher says you should study for a test by making flashcards. But you know you learn better by drawing pictures. Both ways are good. Both aim for the same goal, doing well on the test. But your personal need for how you learn might be different from their advice. In health, it's similar. A doctor might suggest a medicine, but it makes you feel tired. Your need might be to feel awake and lively, even if that medicine helps in another way. Or maybe the doctor says eat more vegetables, and you know it's good, but you just can't stand carrots. Finding that balance, where the doctor's wisdom meets your personal well-being, is a quiet challenge. It's about trust, yes, but also about truly understanding yourself and speaking up. It's a path we all walk, learning to listen to expert advice, and also to the soft whispers of our own bodies and minds. Freedom to learn, or what parents allow. Have you ever really stopped to think about what you learn, and who gets to decide it? We often talk about the freedom to learn. It sounds like a wide-open sky, doesn't it? It means you should be able to explore any idea, ask any question, follow your curiosity down any path. It's like having a compass that points to all the knowledge in the world, and you're free to walk in any direction you choose. But here's the thing, most of us grow up with parents or guardians, and they also have a right, even a duty, to guide us. They want to keep us safe. They want to pass on their values, their beliefs, the lessons they've learned from life. Sometimes they decide what books we read, what movies we watch, or even what subjects we focus on in school. So, what happens when your deep desire to learn something new bumps up against what your parents think is best for you, or what they believe is right? This is where a quiet kind of conflict can begin. For a very long time, people have wondered about this push and pull. Think about how knowledge was shared centuries ago. Often, it was kept within families or certain groups, passed down from older generations back then. Later, thinkers started saying that every person has a right to seek truth for themselves, to use their own mind. Yet, the idea of childhood has always included protection and guidance from those who care for you. Imagine a young tree, a small sapling. It needs sunlight, water, and space to grow tall and strong. That's like our freedom to learn, needing room to expand, but it also needs a sturdy fence around it, maybe some support stakes, to protect it from strong winds or animals while it's still young. That's like the guidance from our parents. They want to help us grow without harm, but sometimes that fence can feel like it's blocking the sun, or limiting where our branches can reach out. It's a delicate dance, isn't it? The deep yearning inside us to know, to understand the world on our own terms, combined with the loving hand that tries to steer us clear of danger. There isn't a simple answer, no easy map for this journey. It's about finding a balance, about trust and understanding between different needs. And it's a journey we all take, slowly learning to reach for the sky, even as we remain connected to our roots and the wisdom they offer. My business, or environmental rules. Have you ever thought about building something amazing? Maybe a new business, a place where you create cool things, offering jobs. That's a human right, the freedom to work, to make a living, to follow your dreams. It sounds good, right? But then, here's the thing. What if making those cool things needs lots of energy? What if the factory produces waste? What if it affects the river nearby, or the air we all breathe? This is where another important human right steps in. The right to a clean and healthy environment. It's for you, for your neighbors, and for all the kids who will live here long after us. For a long time, people mostly focused on what they could get from nature. They'd cut trees, farmland, use rivers. They didn't always think about the big picture, what might happen later. As our world changed, as big factories appeared, we started to see the cost. Rivers turned different colors, air got thick. People began to ask, is this fair? Is this okay? Think about a company wanting to build a huge new facility, maybe one, making parts for our favorite tech. It promises jobs, brings money, but here's the problem. Making those parts might need lots of clean water. The leftover water might not be so clean when it goes back into the river, or maybe the power needed pollutes the air. It's like when you're building an awesome fort in your backyard. You want your cool space, but what if digging for it ruins your neighbor's flower garden? So, it makes us wonder, how do we build our dreams, create new things, and make a living, without breaking the world that gives us life? It's a quiet challenge. It's about finding that gentle balance, where human ambition and Earth's quiet breathing can exist together. We must remember our progress shouldn't come at the cost of the air we breathe, or the water we drink. Privacy on social media, or safety checks. When you share a moment online, a picture, a thought, a feeling, who owns that space? It feels like our own secret garden, right? A place where we control what grows and who gets to walk through. But then there's another feeling, a deep need to keep everyone safe, especially kids. And sometimes, to do that, people think we need to look into those private spaces to make sure no harm is hiding. This isn't just a new problem. For a long time, people thought about personal space versus group safety. Think of old villages. Everyone knew each other's business. That offered safety. People looked out for each other, but it also meant little personal space. Over time, we realized everyone needs privacy, a small area just for ourselves, free from constant watching. It's about dignity. Think about your own room at home. It's your safe place, where you can just be you. But if a fire alarm rings, everyone needs to know you're safe. That might mean opening your door, a quick check for safety. It touches your private world online. It's similar. You have a right to your private thoughts. But what if someone is in real danger, or planning something that could hurt others? Then checking in for safety comes up. So, what do we do? Do we protect every digital corner, or allow checks for safety. It's not a simple choice. It's about finding a gentle balance. Both privacy and safety come from a place of caring. It's a quiet conversation we keep having. How much light do we let in? How much shadow do we keep? Both hold a unique piece. My right to believe, or not hurting others' feelings. Have you ever stopped to think about how your deepest beliefs might sometimes bump up against someone else's feelings? It's a quiet, important question we all face. We each have this fundamental right, a real freedom, to believe what we want. This could be our religion, our politics, our ideas about fairness, or even just our favorite kind of music. It's part of who we are, a quiet pulse inside us that shapes our view of the world. For a long time in history, people weren't free to think for themselves. Kings or powerful churches often told everyone what to believe, and if you disagreed, you could be in big trouble. So, the idea of freedom of belief became super important. It meant that your mind was your own, a safe space for your thoughts to grow. But then, as societies became more connected, another idea grew too. The idea that we also have a right to feel safe, respected, and not deliberately hurt by others. Here's the thing. Sometimes, expressing our strong beliefs can accidentally cause pain, even if we don't mean to. Imagine someone at school who feels really strongly about protecting animals. They might talk often about how people shouldn't eat meat, sharing facts and feelings with passion. For them, it's a deep moral truth. But for another student, who grew up eating meat and enjoys it, hearing those strong words might feel like an attack. They might feel judged or even shamed, their feelings quietly bruised, even though the speaker was just sharing their belief. So, where does my freedom to speak my truth end, and your right to not feel hurt begin? It's a delicate dance, isn't it? It reminds us that our rights aren't just about us, but about how we live together. It asks us to pause, to listen, and to remember that empathy, that gentle understanding of another's heart, might be just as important as the words we choose to share. Using public space, or everyone else's turn. Using public space, or everyone else's turn. Have you ever stopped to think about a public park, a library, or even the sidewalk you walk on every day? Whose space is it, really? It feels like it belongs to everyone, which means it belongs to you. And that's a beautiful idea. This right to freely enjoy places we all share. You have the right to sit on a bench, to play in the grass, to read a book in a quiet corner. But here's the thing, everyone else has that exact same right. My right to blast music from my speaker in the park bumps up against your right to enjoy the quiet chirping of birds. My friend's right to play frisbee might crash into my right to peacefully read my book. For a long, long time, people have thought about this. Ancient communities had shared wells or hunting grounds. They knew that for everyone to survive and thrive, there had to be rules. Unspoken understandings about how to use these common places without ruining them for others or for the generations to come. Think of it like a crowded elevator. You have the right to enter and stand there, but if everyone stands with their backpacks sticking out, talking loudly on their phones, taking up too much room, suddenly no one is truly comfortable. It's not about someone being right and someone being wrong. It's about how our individual rights to exist in that space start to pinch and squeeze each other. It asks us to consider not just what do I need, but what does everyone else need right now? It's a gentle reminder that true freedom in a shared world often means pausing, looking around, and sometimes making a little room. It's about understanding that our space isn't just ours for the taking, but a borrowed moment in a place meant for every single soul, now and in the future. And that's why it matters for all of us. My identity, or others' comfort zone. Have you ever thought about what it means to really be yourself? To show the world the true you, with all your unique thoughts, feelings, and ways of seeing things. This is about your identity. It's the quiet hum of who you are, deep inside, and the way that hum plays out in the world. But here's the thing, sometimes, being truly ourselves can feel a bit like stepping onto a stage where everyone expected a different act. Our unique light might feel too bright for someone else's eyes. Maybe our voice sounds different from what others are used to hearing. This can make them feel uncomfortable, because our new doesn't quite fit their normal or their comfort zone. Think about it like this. For a long time, people believed the earth was flat. It was a comfortable idea, easy to understand. But then, brave thinkers started saying, no, it's round. That idea was shocking. It made people uneasy because it broke their comfortable picture of the world. It wasn't wrong, just different from what they knew. It took time and courage for that new truth to be accepted. Imagine a school hallway filled with familiar sounds, the buzz of chatter, the locker doors clanking. Now, imagine someone walks by quietly humming a brand new melody. It's a beautiful tune, but it's unexpected. Some might stop, curious. Others might frown, because it interrupts the sounds they're used to. Should that person stop humming their beautiful tune just so the hallway sounds exactly the same as always? It's a tough question, isn't it? We all have a right to our identity, to bloom in our own unique way. And here's what I found. Often, the comfort zone of others isn't a solid wall, but more like a gentle gate. It can slowly open, allowing new melodies, new colors, and new ways of being to become part of a bigger, richer world. It asks us all to be a little patient, a little brave, and a lot more understanding. Getting what I need, or helping the whole group. Have you ever felt caught between what you truly want and what everyone else needs? It's a quiet tug-of-war inside us, isn't it? This feeling isn't new. In fact, it's one of the oldest human puzzles, especially when we talk about rights. Sometimes, what feels like a basic right for one person can make things harder for another, or for the whole group. Think about it. Since humans first started living together, in tiny villages or big cities, we've had to figure this out. Humans have always wrestled with this idea. Is it more important to ensure every person gets exactly what they need, even if it might hold back the whole group? Or should we aim for what benefits the most people, even if a few don't get everything they hoped for? Here's the thing. There isn't an easy answer. Imagine a busy school hallway. Everyone has the right to move freely, right? But if one student stops right in the middle, talking loudly on their phone, that person is using their right to stop, but it blocks others. It makes it hard for everyone else to get to class on time. It's shared space. Their individual right to chat bumps into everyone else's right to move icily. It's like how in nature, a strong tree needs lots of sunlight, but if it grows too big, it might block light for smaller plants trying to grow beneath it. Both need light, but light is limited. So, how do we balance these things? How do we decide when a personal freedom might need to bend a little for the good of the whole? It's not about choosing a winner and a loser. It's about careful thought, about empathy, and about finding ways for us all to thrive together. It reminds us that our rights are connected, like threads in a big, beautiful tapestry. Each thread is important, but they work best when woven together, creating something beautiful for everyone. Old ways, or new progress. Have you ever stopped to think about how things change? Not just new gadgets, but big ideas. Sometimes, what people believed for a long time bumps up against a new way of seeing the world. It's like an old, sturdy tree that has given shade for centuries. Its roots are deep, but then new shoots try to grow, reaching for the light in a different direction. For much of human history, life was often about following what came before. Traditions were important. People had roles set out for them, passed down through families or villages. These old ways offered comfort and a sense of knowing where you belonged. But as people started to connect across vast distances, new ideas began to whisper. Ideas about everyone having worth, about fairness that wasn't just for a few, about individual voices mattering. These became the new progress, like a quiet sunrise spreading over the land. Here's the thing, human rights, as we talk about them today, are a bit like those new sunlit ideas. They challenge the shadows of older customs that might have limited some people. Imagine an ancient forest path, winding through the woods. People have walked it for generations. It's known, it's safe. But then, someone realizes that this path doesn't lead to the clearest water, or it bypasses a beautiful, open field where everyone could gather. Building a new, better path means acknowledging the old one, but choosing to create something more inclusive, something more truly helpful for all. This isn't about saying the old ways were bad or wrong. Often, they simply reflected what people knew at the time. But progress means learning, growing, and sometimes bravely stepping onto a different path. It's about figuring out how to honor the wisdom of the past, while reaching for a future where more hearts can feel truly free and seen. It's a quiet, ongoing conversation we all share, a gentle pull between what was and what could be. My ideas, or not spreading misinformation. Have you ever stopped to think about the quiet power of your own thoughts? What happens when an idea blooms in your mind and you want to share it? It feels good to speak, to share, to express what you believe, to let your thoughts fly free. And that's a right we value deeply, to have our voice. But here's the thing. Sometimes our desire to speak freely bumps up against another very important need, the need for truth, for facts, for not accidentally confusing or harming others. For a long time, people have wrestled with this idea. Ancient thinkers, long before social media, knew words were strong. They asked, is saying something true always most important, or can we say anything we want? They understood that a spoken word, once out, couldn't be called back. It took root. It grew. So, how do we balance our freedom to speak with our responsibility to be careful? Think about it like this. Imagine you hear a story about a new kind of animal discovered, maybe one with shimmering scales or a strange call. You get excited and tell all your friends, maybe adding a few cool details. Soon the story has changed. So much, it's not really true. And that's why it matters. Even if you didn't mean to, you've helped spread something that isn't factual. This can happen with bigger ideas too, ideas that affect how we see the world. So, it's not just about what we want to say, it's about what we send out into the shared air, into the minds of others. It asks us to pause, to breathe, and to consider. Is this true? Is it helpful? Will it bring clarity or confusion? There's a gentle strength in choosing our words with care, in being a quiet guardian of understanding for everyone. It's about building a world where ideas can flow, but truth can stand firm. Taking photos, or respecting privacy. Have you ever seen something beautiful, or funny, or just interesting, and instantly wanted to pull out your phone, to snap a picture, to hold that moment forever? It feels like a natural thing to do, doesn't it? To capture the world as you see it. That's a kind of freedom. The freedom to record, to remember, to share your view. But here's the thing. What if the something you're seeing is someone else? What if it's their face, their moment, their life unfolding? This is where a quiet tension often begins. On one side, we have the right to expression, the right to take photos in public spaces. On the other side, there's the deep human need for privacy, the right to be left alone, to control how and when our image or personal moments are shared. With the world, think about it like this. For a long, long time, if you saw something, you just saw it. Your eyes were the camera, your brain the storage. When photography first started, it was a big deal. People had to pose for ages. But now, with phones in every pocket, a moment can be captured and shared globally in seconds. This means the boundaries of what's private have blurred. Where does your space end and my lens begin? Imagine you're just walking down the street, maybe having a bad hair day, or deep in thought. Someone you don't even know takes your picture, maybe because they think you look funny or interesting. Then they post it online, perhaps with a caption. Suddenly, your private moment, your personal image, is out there for anyone to see, comment on, or even share further. You didn't give permission, you didn't even know it was happening. That feeling, it's a jolt. It's the feeling of your personal bubble being popped without your say. So, here's what it comes down to. How do we hold on to the beauty of capturing moments, while also honoring the quiet, tender space that belongs to each person? It asks us to pause, even for a second, and consider the other side of the lens. It's about seeing the person, not just the picture, and remembering that some moments are meant to be felt, not necessarily framed. It's about respect, whispered softly, before the click. Working any time, or set hours and breaks. Imagine working whenever you wanted, or having clear, predictable breaks, which sounds more like freedom. Here's the thing. Human rights sometimes ask us to think about two kinds of freedom. One says, you're free to work as much as you want, when you want. It's your choice. But another important right talks about fair work conditions, rest, and leisure. It says everyone deserves time away, time to recharge, and live life outside of a job. Think about it. Centuries ago, many people worked from sunrise to sunset, often 6 or 7 days a week. No weekends, no set breaks. People were exhausted. Slowly, over many years, people fought for rules. They demanded shorter workdays, weekends, and paid time off. They saw that endless work, even if chosen, could steal a person's health and happiness. They wanted a right to a life beyond just working. It's a bit like playing a video game. You could play all night, pushing yourself without breaks. That's freedom, right? to play when you want. But if you do that, you get tired, your eyes hurt, and your gameplay gets sloppy. Or, you could set limits, play for an hour, take a break, grab a snack. That structured time might feel like less freedom at first, but it lets you play better and enjoy it more in the long run. It's about finding that rhythm where you can thrive, not just survive. So, this quiet conflict asks us, is freedom just about doing whatever we want, whenever we want? Or is it also about having the safety and space to rest, to dream, to simply be? It's a gentle whisper that reminds us that truly living isn't just about working hard, but also about knowing when to pause, to breathe, and to let our souls catch up. Protecting a forest, or getting wood for homes. Have you ever walked among tall trees, feeling the quiet strength of the forest around you? The air seems different there, cooler, smelling of earth and green leaves. It's easy to feel like forests are a right for everyone, a place for peace and for the natural world to breathe. And that's true. Having a healthy planet with green spaces is so important for all of us. It feels like a basic human right to live in a world that isn't just concrete and buildings. But here's the thing, people also need places to live. They need houses, and often, those houses are built with wood. Wood comes from trees. So, we have a challenge, a quiet conflict, right there in the roots and branches. On one side, there's the right to a clean environment, two beautiful forests that clean our air and shelter animals. On the other side, there's the right to shelter, to a safe place to sleep, to build a life. For centuries, humans have always used what nature gives us to survive. Our ancestors built simple huts from branches and leaves. They warmed their homes with fires fueled by wood. This deep need for shelter, for a safe space, is as old as humanity itself. Think about your own favorite blanket, or the comfort of your bed after a long day. That feeling of safety and warmth is what a home provides, and for many, that home starts with wood from a forest. Here's an example. Imagine your school needs a new art room, and the best spot for it is where a really old, beautiful oak tree stands. The tree is loved by everyone. It offers shade, birds nest in it, but students need space to learn and create. So, do you protect the tree, or do you build the room? Both feel like important rights. This isn't about right or wrong, but about how we make choices when two good things bump into each other. It's about trying to find a gentle path where both the wild green heart of the world and our own human families can thrive. It asks us to think deeply about what we value most, and how we can care for both. Getting a good education, or parents' choice of school. Have you ever stopped to think about why you go to your school? Or what makes a good education, anyway? Here's the thing, everyone has a right to a good education. It's a fundamental human right, like having food or shelter. It means getting a chance to learn, to grow, and to find your place in the world. This idea that education isn't just for some but for all slowly grew over time. People realized that if everyone could read, think, and understand, society would be stronger, fairer, and more peaceful. It became a way to lift everyone up, giving each person the tools to build a life. But then there's another important right. Parents have the right to choose the kind of education their children receive. This right comes from the deep idea that families know best for their own children. They have unique values, beliefs, and hopes. So, if a parent believes a certain school or a specific type of learning aligns more with their family's way of life, or their religious views, they should have the freedom to choose it. Here's where it gets tricky. Imagine a lighthouse guiding ships, showing them the safest path. The right to a good education is like that powerful beam, trying to show every child a path to knowledge and opportunity. But a parent's right to choose is like the individual captain of a ship, deciding which port feels right for their family, even if it means steering a slightly different course than the main beam. What if the best school, the one society says is excellent, doesn't fit with a family's deeply held beliefs? Maybe it teaches things differently, or its values don't match. So here's what happens. The desire for every child to have a strong foundation bumps up against a family's freedom to guide their own. It's not about right or wrong, but about two powerful ideas living side by side. How do we make sure every child gets what they need to thrive, while also respecting the sacred choices families make for their own? It's a quiet question we carry, reminding us that sometimes even good rights can create a gentle tension. My right to live where I want, or community rules. Have you ever gazed at the sky, wondering if you could just pick up and go, live anywhere your heart desired. It's a beautiful thought, this deep human longing for absolute freedom, to choose our own patch of earth. For centuries, people have dreamed of this, a simple right, my home, my choice. But here's the thing, real life, the kind we live together, often brings us face to face with a different kind of truth. Think about it like this, if everyone could truly live anywhere, without any rules, what would happen? Early humans learned quickly that living in groups, in tribes or villages, meant survival. They had to agree on things, who hunted where could new homes be built. These weren't just suggestions, they became ways to keep everyone safe and fed. Over time, these agreements grew into community rules, then laws. So, while I have a right to move, a community also has rules about how we all share the space. It's like a game with a board and pieces. You have the right to move your piece, but you can't just jump off the board or land on another player's space without permission. A town might have rules about where houses can be built, or how tall they can be, or even how many people can live in one place. These aren't meant to trap you. They're there to make sure everyone has enough space, clean air, and safe roads. They try to keep the whole game fair for everyone, and that's why it matters. This isn't about being told no. It's about the quiet hum of connection. The understanding that our individual freedom often finds its truest shape when it weaves into the tapestry of everyone else's lives. It's about realizing that sometimes the greatest freedom comes from choosing to be part of something bigger, something shared, asking for help, or keeping things private. Have you ever felt that quiet pull inside you? That feeling when you're struggling, and you just want someone to notice, to reach out. But then, right after, another feeling arrives, a deep wish to keep everything to yourself, to sort it out alone, away from curious eyes. This is a very human crossroads, and it shows up in our rights too. Here's the thing, we have a right to privacy. That means our thoughts, our homes, our personal lives, they belong to us. No one should be able to just walk into that space without permission. It's like having a special room inside yourself, a quiet garden where only you decide who gets in. This idea of privacy grew over time, as people realized how important it was to have a place where you could be truly yourself, without judgment or interference. Think about the old stories where kings could just demand to know anything about anyone. Our rights say that's not okay anymore. But then, here's the other side. We also have a right to safety and to well-being. And sometimes, to keep us safe, or to help us when we're in trouble, others need to step into that private space. Imagine a tree in a storm. It might want to stand tall and strong on its own, its roots holding firm. But if its branches are breaking, or its trunk is splitting, a kind hand might need to trim it, or support it, even if the tree itself can't ask for help in words. So, when does our right to keep things private meet our need, or someone else's duty, to help? If a friend seems really withdrawn, quiet for days, and you're worried sick, do you respect their privacy and wait? Or do you step in and offer support, even if it feels like you're pushing? It's not about being nosy. It's about caring, but also respecting their personal space. It's a delicate balance, this dance between quiet strength and the courage to let others in. And sometimes, the hardest choice is knowing which step to take. Freedom to choose, or getting vaccinated for all. Imagine a quiet morning. You wake up, and you choose what clothes to wear, what to eat for breakfast. This feeling, this freedom to choose, it's a big part of being human. But what happens when your choice, or someone else's, touches everyone around you? What if it's about something like getting vaccinated, something meant to protect not just you, but whole communities from illness? Here's the thing, sometimes our personal freedoms feel like they bump right up against the needs of many. For a long time, people have thought about how we live together. Think back to ancient towns, even simple things like a shared well for water. If one person dirtied the water, it affected everyone. So, rules were made, not to take away freedom, but to keep everyone safe. It's a bit like an invisible agreement we make. I give up a tiny bit of my freedom if it means everyone else, including me, gets to be safer and healthier. Consider this. Imagine a school play. Everyone has a role, and if one person decides not to learn their lines, it doesn't just affect them. The whole scene might fall apart. The audience might be confused. The play, which is a shared experience, depends on each person doing their part. It's similar with health. When we face a sickness that can spread easily, one person's choice not to get protected can create a ripple. That ripple might reach someone who can't get protected, like a baby or an older person with a weak immune system. Their health, their life, becomes tangled in someone else's choice. So, this isn't about right or wrong in a simple way. It's about understanding that our lives are woven together, like threads in a big, colorful tapestry. Each thread is unique, a personal choice, but the strength and beauty of the whole tapestry depend on how these threads connect and support each other. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How do we hold on to our precious freedom while also caring for the shared world we all live in? It's a question that whispers in the quiet spaces between us, asking us to think deeply about what it means to be truly free. Together, my story, or protecting someone's reputation. Have you ever felt a strong need to speak your truth, to tell your side of a story exactly as you lived it? It's a powerful feeling, a deep human urge to share what's real to you. But what if your honest story, when spoken out loud, might make someone else look bad, or even damage their good name? Here's a tough question, one that human rights often bump into. When does your freedom to tell your own story meet the other person's right to keep their reputation safe from harm? Think about it like two important currents in a river. One current is your right to express yourself, to share your experiences, to speak without fear. It's about your voice being heard, clear and strong. The other current is the right to a good reputation, the right not to have false or harmful things said about you. This protects someone's honor, their standing in the world, the way others see them. Both are deeply important for living a full, fair life. For a long time, people have wrestled with this. Even in ancient societies, there were rules about false witness, knowing that a lie could ruin a life. They understood that words have weight, like stones dropped into water. They saw that while telling your story is vital, telling lies that hurt others is also a serious wrong. So, how do we find a path where both these rights can exist, side by side? Imagine a beautiful, detailed painting. It's your memory, your truth. You want to show it to everyone. But what if a part of your painting, even if true to you, could be seen as a smear on someone else's clean canvas, changing how everyone views their picture forever? It's not just about what you say, but also the quiet ripple your words create. When we speak, our words are like tiny waves. They travel out, touching everything in their path. So, when we share our stories, especially the difficult ones, we're asked to hold a mirror to our own words. Are they true? Are they kind? Are they necessary? It's about remembering that while your story matters greatly, so does the delicate web of someone else's reputation. It asks us to be careful and compassionate, understanding the powerful, lasting mark our words can leave on the world and on each other. Using technology or protecting jobs. Have you ever thought about what happens when a machine learns to do something a person used to do? It's a quiet question, but it echoes deeply inside us. We dream of a world made better by clever tools. Technology brings us so much good. It connects us, helps us learn, and makes things possible that once seemed like magic. But here's the thing. Sometimes, these amazing tools can also take jobs away from people. This isn't new. It's a story as old as invention itself. Back when the first factories roared to life, people worried. This was the Industrial Revolution. Machines could spin thread faster than 100 hands. So, many weavers lost their work. It was a tough time. Some folks even broke machines because they felt their lives were being pulled apart. They weren't against progress. They were fighting for their right to earn a living, to feed their families. Does society have a right to progress, even if it means some people lose their way? Think about going to the grocery store today. You see those self-checkout lanes, right? It's quicker for some, but each one means less need for a cashier. It's a small example, but it shows the problem. We value efficiency and new ideas, and we also believe everyone deserves a chance to work, to contribute. How do we balance that? How do we build a future where smart machines help us, but don't leave people behind? Maybe it's not about choosing one over the other. It's about learning to grow together. It's like a river, changing its course. The water still flows, but it finds new paths. Our challenge is to ensure that, as technology moves forward, we create new opportunities, new kinds of work, and that we remember the human heart at the center of it all. It's about being kind to each other as we figure out this evolving world. Speaking my mind, or staying polite. Have you ever had something important on your mind, a strong feeling, or a truth you just had to share. But then, right before you spoke, a tiny voice asked, "Will this hurt someone? Will it make things awkward?" This is a tricky spot we all find ourselves in. We have a human right to speak freely, to say what we believe. It's called freedom of expression, and it's a big deal. It lets us share ideas, question things, and even challenge power. But here's the problem. Other people also have human rights. They have a right to feel safe, to be respected, and not to be unfairly treated or insulted. So what happens when your right to speak clashes with someone else's right to feel safe or respected? Think about it. Long ago, people started to realize that words aren't just sounds. They carry weight. They can build up, or they can tear down. History is full of times when speaking out changed the world for the better, but also times when hateful words caused great harm. It's like a balance beam. On one side, you have the powerful push of a new idea. On the other, the quiet pull of someone's dignity. Imagine your friend is wearing a new shirt they really love, but you think it looks terrible. Your mind might want to blurt out, "That shirt is so ugly." You have the right to your opinion, but your friend has a right to feel good about themselves, to not be made to feel small. If you speak your mind without thinking, you might crush their feelings. So, you have a choice. Do you say the honest, harsh truth? Or do you find a kinder way to say nothing, or perhaps focus on something positive? It's a complicated dance, isn't it? This isn't about saying you should never speak your mind. It's about remembering that our words, like stones tossed into a pond, create ripples. Those ripples touch others, sometimes in ways we don't expect. The real wisdom isn't just speaking, but learning when to pause, to breathe, and to think about the space between what you want to say and how it will land. It's about trying to honor both your truth and the feelings of those around you, finding a path that respects everyone. My property, or government needing land. Imagine, for a moment, having a piece of the world that is truly yours. It's your space, your home, maybe a small garden where you plant seeds, or a tree you climb. You feel safe there, protected. It holds your memories, your laughter, even your quiet thoughts. This feeling of owning something, a piece of land, is a very old human idea. For thousands of years, people have wanted a secure spot to call their own, a place that gives them a sense of belonging. But here's the thing, what if the government needs that very spot? Perhaps for a new hospital that will save many lives, or a wider road to connect far-apart communities, or even a school where thousands of kids will learn and grow. This is where a big question comes up, a real human rights challenge. Your right to your property, a deep and personal human right, bumps up against the government's need to do good for everyone. This power is often called eminent domain, which sounds fancy but simply means the government can take private land for public use. They are supposed to offer fair payment for it, but money doesn't always replace the feeling of losing something so personal. Think about a puzzle you're building. You have this perfect, unique piece that fits just right in your hand. It's yours, and you love its shape, but the whole puzzle, which thousands of people will look at, can't be finished without that one piece fitting into the bigger picture. Your special piece is needed to help create the full image for everyone. Sometimes, your individual piece, as special and loved as it is needed for the greater good of the community. It's a tricky, often sad situation. That deep pull between what belongs to me, what I've poured my heart and dreams into, and what the wider world might desperately need. It reminds us that our personal freedom, our right to own a place, isn't always a straight, clear path. It often curves and twists, trying to find a quiet balance with the needs of the community. It's about figuring out how we can all live together, making hard choices that touch our hearts. It means building a better world, even when we must let go of something deeply personal for the common good. What I feel is right, or what society says. Have you ever felt deep down that something was just wrong, even if everyone else around you said it was fine? Or maybe you felt something was absolutely right, but the world seemed to disagree. This quiet push and pull is a very old question, one people have thought about for thousands of years. It's about the difference between your own inner sense of what's fair and good, and what society, with all its rules and traditions, tells you is right. For ages, wise people have asked, where does right and wrong truly live? Is it something we're born with, like a tiny seed planted inside us? Or is it something we learn, like a language, from our families, our friends, and the wider world we grow up in? Here's the thing, sometimes these two ideas don't line up. Your heart might tell you one thing, but the crowd, or even the law, says another. Think about a time you saw someone being treated unfairly. Maybe a group was teasing another student, and everyone was laughing, acting like it was no big deal. But inside you, a small, clear voice whispered, "This isn't okay. This feels wrong." That feeling, that quiet hum inside you, that's your personal moral compass. But the group's laughter, their acceptance of it, that's what society, in that moment, was saying was acceptable. Here's what I found. It's a big deal when these two paths, your inner voice and the outside world, start to separate. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Is there a universal truth to right and wrong, or is it just a story we all agree to tell ourselves? This might work for you. Sometimes, it's not about finding one perfect answer. Instead, it's about listening to that quiet whisper inside, even when the world is loud. It's about thinking deeply about why you feel what you feel, and understanding that the journey to figure this out is a powerful one, for you and for the world around you. My free time, or being available for work. Have you ever felt that tug? That quiet whisper inside you that longs for stillness, for a moment to just be, far away from any task or expectation. But then another voice pops up, maybe a bit louder, reminding you of homework, or chores, or even a part-time job you need for a new game. This is where two important human rights can feel like they're pulling in different directions. One right says, we deserve rest. It's the right to leisure, to holidays, to a time when our minds and bodies can simply recover and find joy. Imagine a quiet afternoon, a walk in the woods, or just staring at the clouds. That feeling of true freedom, where nothing is asked of you. For a long time in history, most people worked from sunup to sundown, with little time off. But, as societies changed, especially after the Industrial Revolution, people fought for things like weekends and fair working hours. They saw that rest wasn't just a luxury, it was a human need. But then, there's another right, the right to work, to earn a living, to provide for yourself and your family. For many, work isn't just about money, it's about purpose, about contributing, about feeling useful. And in today's world, it often feels like we need to be available, online, connected, ready for the next task. Think about a phone that's always buzzing, even when you're not actively using it. It's on, ready for a call, ready for a message. It takes power, even when it's just sitting there. We, too, are often in this standby mode, even when we're trying to rest. So, how do we honor both? How do we find that sweet spot between working hard and resting deeply? It's like a gentle breath. You breathe in, taking in what the world offers, doing your part. And then you breathe out, letting go, finding peace. Both are essential for life to continue. It reminds us that balance isn't just a word. It's a careful dance we perform every single day, trying to build a life where our spirits can soar and our needs are met. Building up cities, or keeping nature wild. Have you ever looked at an empty field and wondered if it should become a park or new homes? It's a quiet question, but it holds a big challenge. On one side, we have the human need for shelter, for schools, for places to work and live together. We build cities, growing our world to fit more and more people, making life easier and safer in many ways. This feels like a basic right, the right to a home, to progress, to a good life for our families. But then, there's the other side. The ancient whisper of the wild forests that clean our air, rivers that bring fresh water, and vast spaces where animals live untouched. These natural places are not just pretty, they are the very lungs of our planet. They hold a quiet right to simply exist, to thrive without being paved over. For centuries, humans have wrestled with this. Old towns were built close to rivers and forests, using what nature gave. But as our numbers grew, so did our impact. We started to take more and more space, pushing nature back. Think about a new road being built through a patch of woods near your town. On one hand, it helps people get to work or school faster. It feels like progress, like an improvement for daily life. But on the other hand, a family of deer might lose their home, or a patch of wildflowers that bees depend on might disappear forever. It's like pulling a thread from a large tapestry. You get what you need right now, but a small part of the bigger picture is changed, perhaps for good. So, how do we find a balance? What does it truly mean to have a right to a home? If building that home means erasing the homes of other living things, or hurting the very air we breathe, It asks us to pause and consider not just what we need today, but what the earth needs, what future generations will need. It's a deep breath, wondering if our path forward can be one that builds bridges, not just over rivers, but between human progress and the wild heart of the world. My own health data, or doctors sharing info. Have you ever thought about the quiet stories your body holds? Every sniffle, every scraped knee, every time your heart beat a little too fast. These are all tiny bits of your personal health journey. You might feel like these stories are yours alone, private like a whispered secret or a diary entry. The right to keep things about yourself private, especially your health, feels so fundamental. It's like saying, this is my body, my life, my information. But here's where it gets a little tangled, like two important paths crossing. Imagine you have a team of doctors, each great, but they don't talk to each other. Your family doctor knows one part of your story, a specialist knows another, and the emergency room doctor knows an urgent piece. For them to truly help you, to see the whole picture, they often need to share notes. It's like building a Lego castle. Each person has a few pieces, but they need to be put together. For a long time, people trusted their doctors deeply, like wise elders. The doctor kept your health secrets. This idea of patient privacy has been around for centuries, a silent promise between healer and patient. It's about respect, making you feel safe enough to share everything. But now, our health records, live in computers, they can be shared so fast. This brings up a new question. If your doctors share your health story, even if it's to help you, does it take away a piece of your privacy? Think of it like a secret recipe for cookies. All the ingredients. If a friend wants to bake them with you, they need the recipe too. Sharing helps make the cookies. But now that secret isn't only yours, it's a dance between keeping your personal health story close, like a treasured book, and letting others read parts of it to help you build a healthier future. How do we find that calm balance? A place where trust can bloom without feeling exposed. It's a question we quietly hold, wondering where our whispered secrets truly belong. Getting justice, or forgiving someone. Have you ever felt truly wronged by someone? Your first thought might be justice. You want things to be made right. Justice feels like balance, like setting the world straight after it's been tipped. It's about what's fair. But then there's forgiveness. This is different. Forgiveness isn't about letting someone off the hook. It's more about letting go of the anger inside you. It's a choice to release that heavy feeling, even if the other person never says sorry. This has been discussed for ages. Some old ideas called for an eye, meaning wrong should be repaid. But other ancient teachings spoke of mercy, of letting go, and finding inner peace. Here's the thing. Justice and forgiveness often pull in different directions. Imagine your friend accidentally breaks your favorite video game controller. You feel upset. Justice might mean they buy you a new one. That feels fair. But what if they can't afford it, or they feel terrible and apologize deeply? Forgiveness might mean you accept their apology and don't hold it against them. You might choose to mend the friendship, even if the controller isn't replaced. It's like a knot. Pulling for justice can sometimes tighten the knot of hurt, but untangling it by forgiving can set both people, and your own heart, free. It's not about ignoring what happened. It's about deciding what you carry forward. Do you carry the weight of wanting someone to pay, or do you lighten your load by letting go? The path you choose changes not just the other person, but also who you become. It's a quiet, powerful decision. Freedom to gather, or public safety rules. Have you ever imagined a huge gathering, maybe a concert with thousands of people, or a march where everyone is shouting for something they believe in? That powerful feeling, that right to gather together, is called freedom of assembly. It means we can meet up, protest, celebrate, or just be together in public spaces. It's a truly important part of being human, a way for our voices to be heard, and for us to feel connected. But here's the thing. What happens when a crowd gets too big? Or if a protest blocks a hospital entrance? What if a celebration gets so wild it becomes dangerous for people, or damages property? Suddenly, that beautiful freedom starts to bump up against another vital idea: public safety. These are the rules and actions meant to keep everyone safe and sound, to prevent harm. Think about a school fire drill. You have the freedom to walk around the hallways, right? But if there's a fire, everyone needs to move in a specific way, follow certain paths, and listen to instructions. Those rules, even if they limit your usual freedom to roam, are there to protect you and everyone else from harm. They keep things from becoming chaotic and dangerous in an emergency. It's about protecting you. Throughout history, people have gathered to make big changes, to speak truth, or to share joy. It's a powerful tool for society. But societies also need order. So, we face this puzzle. How much freedom can we have before it starts to put others at risk? And when do safety rules become too strict, maybe even silencing important voices that need to be heard? It's a tough question, and there's no easy answer. We are always trying to find that balance, making sure we protect both our right to be together and our right to be safe. My own path, or my family's wishes. Have you ever felt a quiet pull inside you, a longing to choose your own way? Then, a different tug from the people who raised you, who love you deeply. This feeling, this gentle conflict, is a very old human story. It's about a basic human right, the freedom to make your own choices, to follow your own dreams. But it also bumps into another important idea, the value of family, community, and respecting those who came before you. For a long time, in many cultures, what your family wanted for you was often your path. Your future might have been set by traditions, by your family's work, or by arrangements made for you. Your own desires sometimes took a back seat to the needs of the whole family or village. That was common, but over time, especially more recently, people started to talk more about the individual. Each person has their own thoughts, unique spirit, and a right to explore that. Here's the thing. Imagine a young tree, just starting to grow. It has an amazing drive to reach for the sun, to grow tall and strong in its own unique shape. That's like your own path, your right to grow into who you are meant to be. But this tree also has roots, deep, strong roots that connect it to the soil where it sprouted, and to the other trees in the forest. These roots represent your family, your community, their hopes and traditions. They give you nourishment and a place to belong. Sometimes, the sunniest spot might pull the tree one way, but the strongest roots pull it another dot. It's not about one being right and the other wrong. It's about understanding that both are important. Your individual freedom, your unique voice, and the deep, comforting bond of family. Life often asks us to find a way to honor both, to weave them together into a path that feels true. It's a journey of listening, both to your own heart and to the whispers of your history. What I buy, or where it comes from. Have you ever stopped to truly think about your favorite shirt? Or maybe the phone you hold, warm in your hand? Where did it really begin its journey? This quiet question brings up a gentle conflict, a friction between human rights. We have a right to buy things, to choose what we own. It's part of our freedom. But what about the person who picked the cotton for that shirt, or mined the tiny metals for that phone? Do they have a right to fair pay for their hard work, to safe working conditions? This isn't a new problem. Long ago, thinkers wondered about what makes a society fair. John Locke, a wise man from centuries past, talked about our right to own things we've worked for. He said, if you mix your labor with something, it becomes yours. Sounds simple, right? But here's the thing. Today, things are made all over the world, in long chains. A shirt might be designed in one country, the fabric woven in another, and then sewn in a third, before reaching you. It crosses many hands, many borders, many different lives. Think about a small, delicious chocolate bar you just want to enjoy. Its rich sweetness, but that chocolate started as a cocoa bean, likely picked by someone far away, perhaps a farmer in a distant land, working long hours. Their right to a living wage, to send their children to school, might quietly bump up against our right to buy that chocolate cheaply at the store. It's like ripples in a pond. One stone, our simple purchase, sends out waves that touch lives we can't see. So, when we pick up something from a shelf, it's not just an object. It carries stories. It holds the work and hopes of countless hands. And here's what I found. It reminds us that our choices, even small, everyday ones, are deeply connected to the well-being of others. It's about remembering that the rights of one person can sometimes lean heavily on the rights of another, in ways we don't always consider. It asks us to pause, just for a moment, to feel the quiet weight of those unseen connections. My choices about food, or public health guidelines. When you open the fridge, or walk down a grocery aisle, who truly decides what you eat? It feels like it's just you, right? Your cravings, your favorite snacks. And that's a powerful feeling. This idea of personal choice, of deciding for yourself what enters your body. But sometimes, what we choose, or what's available to choose, touches something much bigger. Public health. For a long time, people ate what they found and often got very sick. Slowly, we learned about germs and how diseases spread through food. So, societies made rules. This wasn't about dictating your dinner. It was about ensuring the food itself wouldn't harm anyone. It was about the health of the whole community. A quiet understanding that we are all in this together. Think about a time when there's news of a food recall. Maybe a type of lettuce has a dangerous germ, and suddenly your personal choice is limited. You can't buy it, even if you want to. Public health guidelines step in, pulling items from shelves. This is a moment where shared safety gently, but firmly, guides our choices. They aren't trying to take away your freedom. Instead, they aim to prevent widespread sickness, to keep eating safe for everyone. So, where does your freedom to pick any food end, and the shared need for everyone's well-being begin? It's a quiet tension, this dance between what I want and what keeps us all safe. It makes you think how our individual choices echo out into the wider world. And maybe, in those moments, we can see that our freedom sometimes walks hand in hand with a quiet care for each other. Keeping traditions or embracing new ideas. Have you ever felt pulled in two directions? Like wanting to keep something old, but also wanting to try something new. This feeling often pops up when we think about rights. It's about the right to hold on to traditions, things passed down through time, and also the right to move forward, to change, to accept new ways of living. Sometimes, these two rights can bump into each other. For centuries, people have valued the ways of their ancestors. They built entire societies around shared customs and beliefs. These traditions gave them a sense of belonging, a clear path to follow. But then, new discoveries happened. New ideas about fairness, freedom, and how the world works started to spread. Think about the age of exploration, or when science challenged old beliefs. People had to decide, hold tight to the old, or reach for the new. It's not a simple choice. Imagine a family where everyone always celebrated a certain holiday in a very specific way. They eat the same foods, sing the same songs, and tell the same stories. It's comforting, familiar. But then, one generation, maybe the kids, discover new dishes, new music, or even new ways to celebrate that feel more meaningful to them. They want to include these new things. Here's the problem. The parents feel the tradition is being disrespected, like a part of their history is being erased. The kids feel their right to express themselves, to make new traditions, is being ignored. Both sides have a point. So, where do we find the balance? Is there a way to honor the roots that ground us, while also letting new branches grow towards the sun? It's a quiet question we all face, not just as individuals, but as communities. It reminds us that rights aren't always neat boxes. They're more like living things, shifting and seeking their place in the light. We learn to listen, to understand that comfort and change can both hold value. The right to live, or medical decisions at end of life. What does it truly mean to live? Is it just about breathing, about a heart still beating? Or is there more to it? Something about feeling, about dignity, about peace? Here's a tough question, one that sits deep in our hearts and minds. Sometimes, the human right to live can feel like it bumps into other important ideas, especially when someone is very sick and nearing the end of their life. The right to life is one of the most basic human rights. It means everyone deserves to be protected from harm, to exist. But modern medicine has given us amazing powers. Doctors can keep bodies functioning even when natural processes are failing. This brings up complex choices that people hundreds of years ago didn't even imagine. Back then, life and death were more often decided by nature alone. Now, we have powerful tools. And with those tools come big responsibilities and difficult questions. Here's the thing. Sometimes, living means great pain, a body that no longer works, or a mind that isn't truly present. Think about an old, beloved plant in your home. You've cared for it for years, but now it's really sick. Its leaves are shriveling, its stem is weak. You want it to live forever, to stay green and vibrant, but maybe keeping it alive means it's slowly suffering, or using up all its energy just to hold on. This isn't about giving up, it's about facing a hard truth. It's about deciding what life means for that plant in its final stages. Do you keep trying to revive it, or do you make a different, hard choice, perhaps to let it rest gracefully? These are not easy choices, They involve deep feelings about compassion, about a person's comfort, and about their wishes. It makes us wonder about the true meaning of a good life and a good end. It's about balancing the right to live with dignity, even when life's journey is coming to its quiet close. It shows us that even the most fundamental rights can lead to profound, heart-wrenching puzzles. Learning freely, or protecting young minds. Have you ever wondered about the powerful right to learn? It feels so simple, doesn't it? To seek knowledge, to ask questions, to find answers. That's a part of growing up. We believe everyone should be free to explore ideas, to read, to discover new thoughts. But what happens when that freedom bumps into another deeply held belief? The need to protect young people. For a long time, people have asked, who gets to decide what is safe to learn? In olden times, maybe village elders or wise teachers guided what was shared. They believed their job was to guard young minds. Like a gardener protects tender sprouts from harsh winds. They wanted to make sure seeds of understanding were planted carefully. But knowledge isn't always a gentle rain. Sometimes it's a storm, and that's where the tension builds. Imagine a huge library, filled with every book ever written. You can walk through the aisles, pick up anything you want. That's learning freely. But here's the thing, some books might have scary stories, or confusing ideas, or things that aren't quite true yet. A librarian, or a parent, might suggest certain books are for older readers, or they might put some books in a special section. They aren't trying to stop you from learning forever. Instead, they're trying to make sure the information you get is right for your age, like making sure a tiny seed gets the right amount of light. Not too much, not too little, so it can grow strong. It's about building a sturdy foundation for future understanding. So, it's not just about one choice being good and the other bad. It's about finding a delicate balance. How do we let curiosity blossom, while also making sure minds are shielded from things they aren't ready for? It's a quiet question that asks us to think about trust and growth and the wisdom of waiting. It makes us pause and consider the kind of world we are building. A world where both freedom and care can truly thrive. My land, or shared water resources. Think about your own room. It feels like yours, right? Something you claim. But what about water? The rain that falls, the quiet stream, or even the lake? Does that belong to just one person or one country? Here's the thing, human rights talk about owning land, having a home. That's important for belonging. But water, a right we all need, doesn't stay put. It flows. Rivers cross many countries. Springs feed distant communities. So, if my land right controls water, but someone downriver needs it to survive, two important rights can conflict. People wrestled with this for thousands of years. Ancient civilizations grew near big rivers. They learned if one group used all water, building dams or diverting it, others downstream suffered. Crops withered. Families went thirsty. This forced them to find ways to share, to create rules, even when not friends. It's an old puzzle, teaching human connection. Imagine your school's water fountain. It's for everyone. If one class hogged it all day, not thinking of others' thirst, what happens? Students get thirsty, maybe angry. It's like that, but on a bigger scale, involving populations. My land right seems strong, but shared water for countless others is just as vital for life. So, here's what it means. Some things are basic, essential for all life. They stretch beyond mine or yours. They make us look up from our small piece of earth. They remind us we are connected by the same flowing streams, the same rain. It's a quiet reminder that true security and a peaceful future come from sharing, cooperating, protecting these shared lifelines for everyone. Being heard, or others not wanting to listen. Have you ever felt like you had something important to say, a truth bubbling inside you, but no one was truly listening? Or, on the flip side, have you been in a situation where someone was talking so loudly, saying things that made you deeply uncomfortable, and you just wished they would stop? Here's the thing about human rights. They often celebrate our freedom to express ourselves. We have a fundamental right to speak our minds, to share our ideas, and even to protest for what we believe in. That voice, that longing to be heard, feels incredibly vital, almost as necessary as the air we breathe. But what happens when one person's right to speak bumps squarely into another person's right not to hear certain things, or their right to peace and quiet, their space for thought, or even their right to feel safe and respected? without being targeted by someone else's words. This isn't a new problem. Long ago, wise thinkers like John Stuart Mill explored this tension. They wondered about the real limits of free speech. They asked a simple question: when does my freedom to swing my fist end? Their answer was clear. It ends precisely when it hits your nose. It's a bit like that with words. Your words might carry great power, but they shouldn't crash into another person's quiet space or harm their dignity. Think about a busy school hallway during passing. Period. Everyone is talking, laughing. It's a vibrant mix of voices. Now, imagine someone brings a huge portable speaker into that hallway and starts blasting music only they like at maximum volume. They have a right to enjoy their music, absolutely. But does their right to play it loudly override everyone else's right to walk safely, to hear their friends, or simply not have their ears hurt? Suddenly, one person's loud expression makes it difficult for everyone else to exist comfortably. Their music conflicts with others' right to a calm environment. So, this isn't about shutting down voices, it's about finding a delicate, thoughtful balance. It's about remembering that the open space where our own voices can soar also needs room for others to think, to feel, and sometimes, simply to be silent. It asks us to deeply consider not just what we say, but how it lands on other ears, and if our volume might unintentionally dim someone else's light. It's a calm reflection on the profound respect needed, not just for our own strong voice, but for the sacred silence and personal space of others. My right to believe, or not discriminating. Have you ever stopped to really think about what you believe? Maybe it's a big faith, or maybe it's just a strong feeling about what's right and wrong. Here's the thing, we all have a right to believe whatever we choose. That's a powerful idea, isn't it? It means your mind is your own, your thoughts are your own, and your spirit can explore any path. For a long, long time, people fought terrible wars over beliefs. Kings and countries clashed because one group thought their way was the only way. So, eventually, we wrote down rules to protect this freedom. It meant that nobody should be punished just for having different thoughts or a different religion, or no religion at all. Everyone should be free to follow their own truth, quietly or loudly, inside their own heart. But here's the problem, and it's a tricky one. While you have the right to believe, others have the right not to be discriminated against. This means you can't treat someone unfairly because of their beliefs, or their race, or who they love. What happens when your deep belief, your own personal truth, bumps into someone else's right to be treated equally? Imagine a school club. Let's say it's about a specific kind of art. The students running it feel strongly that only people who draw in that particular style should join. They believe in the purity of their art. But another student, who draws differently but wants to learn, feels excluded. This art club's deep belief in a certain style bumps up against the other student's right to join a club and not feel shut out. It's like having a special recipe that you think is the best, but then saying only people who love that exact flavor can come to your potluck. It can feel you nwelcoming. So, how do we honor the quiet space where our beliefs live, while also making sure everyone feels safe and valued in the shared world? It asks us to look closely, not just at what we believe, but at how our beliefs might touch others. It's a gentle dance. This idea of protecting our own inner light, while also making sure we don't dim anyone else's. We learn to hold our truths, not as weapons, but as gifts that add to the world, without hurting the many different truths around us. It's about letting everyone shine, having enough space, or sharing with more people. Have you ever stopped to really think about how much space you truly need? Not just the room for your feet or your backpack, but a kind of quiet space for your thoughts, for simply being yourself. We all carry this invisible bubble around us, a personal zone that feels deeply important. It's where we feel safe, where we can breathe, where we feel like we truly belong to ourselves. But here's the thing, our planet is home to billions of other people, and every single one of them needs their own bubble, their own little corner of peace. For a long, long time, humans often lived in smaller groups, spreading out across open land. Back then, space might not have felt like such a limited thing. People built homes with room to spare, and the next family was often a good walk away. But as villages grew into bustling towns, and those towns exploded into massive cities, the idea of how much personal space we could reasonably expect began to shift. This isn't just about the size of a bedroom. It's about the right to feel uncrowded, to to have moments of quiet, to not constantly rub shoulders with strangers, day in and day out. Yet, every other person also has a right to exist, to live, to be near jobs or family. And that often means living much closer together. Think about your school cafeteria during lunch. Everyone wants enough room to eat, to talk with friends, to feel comfortable without bumping elbows. There's a natural amount of space each person needs to feel at ease. But what happens when suddenly twice as many students want to squeeze onto that same long table? Elbows collide, voices get louder. That feeling of having enough space quickly fades for everyone, doesn't it? No one means to invade another's comfort, but the sheer fact of more people needing the same limited spot creates a quiet conflict, a gentle tension. So this makes us wonder, doesn't it? How do we balance this deep, human need for our own bubble, our own quiet breathing room, with the powerful reality that we live on a shared earth, full of other beings with these exact same desires? It's a complex and beautiful puzzle, a question we keep asking ourselves, both as individuals and as a global family. It asks us to look closely at how we can live together, respectfully, thoughtfully, even when our personal bubbles gently overlap, finding ways for everyone to feel a little bit more at peace, a little more at home in this shared world. My creativity, or copyright rules. Have you ever had an idea so bright it felt like it sparked inside you? Maybe it was a melody, a story, or a new way to solve a problem. It sprang from your mind, just for you. You feel a deep connection to it, right? It's part of your spirit. What happens when that spark becomes something real, something you share with the world? A drawing, a song, a short film. Suddenly, rules appear. These rules are called copyright. They say that what you made is yours. You control how others use it. This protects the time and heart you poured into creating. This idea isn't new. For hundreds of years, people thought, if someone creates something truly original, shouldn't they get credit? Shouldn't they decide what happens to it? This thinking grew into copyright law. It's like saying, you planted this seed, you nurtured it, so you get to pick its fruit. It's about fairness for the creator. But here's where it gets complicated. Imagine you write a great song. It's catchy, everyone hums it. You share it online. Then, someone else records their own version and sells their version without asking. That feels unfair, right? Your own creativity, the song from your soul, used without permission. It feels like a piece of you was taken. This is the push and pull, your desire to create, to share, to be free with your imagination. And then the rules that try to keep things fair, making sure creators benefit from their hard work. It's about balancing the open flow of ideas, where everyone can be inspired, and respecting the unique efforts of one person. How do we keep creativity flowing like a river, but also protect the unique treasures it carries? Choosing my job, or being forced to work. Have you ever thought about what you want to be when you grow up? Maybe a doctor, an artist, or someone who builds amazing things. That feeling, that dream of choosing your own path, is a deep part of being human. It's about freedom, about picking the work that calls to your spirit. We believe everyone should have the right to choose their job, to decide how they spend their days and use their skills. This idea feels so basic, right? But here's the thing. For a long time in history, most people didn't get to choose. Imagine being born and knowing your entire life would be spent doing the same hard labor your parents did, with no way out. Think about the many who were forced into slavery, their bodies and time owned by another, with no say in their own lives, no hope of leaving. Their right to choose was crushed. Even outside of slavery, many societies had systems where people were tied to the land or a specific craft, unable to follow a different dream. This wasn't about what they wanted to do. It was about what they had to do. It's a bit like loving to draw in your notebook, just for fun, letting your imagination run wild. But then, a teacher says, from now on, you must draw this exact picture over and over, all day, every day, perfectly, or there will be serious problems. The act of drawing is still there, but the joy, the personal choice, the very soul of the activity, is gone. It becomes a burden, not a passion. So when we talk about the right to choose our work, it's not just about getting a paycheck, it's about the quiet dignity of a person, about being able to listen to your own heart and let your life bloom in its own unique way. It's about being more than just a pair of hands, but a mind and spirit that can contribute something truly their own. The right to choose is a whisper that reminds us we are free, not bound. Helping people now, or saving for the future. Have you ever faced a choice between something you really need now, and something important for a long time from now? It's a tough choice, isn't it? This is exactly what societies wrestle with when we talk about human rights. Here's the thing, many rights feel urgent. Think about someone who is hungry today, or someone who needs a safe place to sleep tonight. Their right to food and shelter feels like it must be met now, and it should. But what about the rights that take time to build? Like the right to a clean planet for future generations, or the right to a great education that might not pay off until years later. Long ago, people thought a lot about what a good life looked like. Some believed we should just focus on today, making sure everyone has enough. Others said we must also prepare for tomorrow, planting seeds even if we won't see the full tree grow. It's like a farmer deciding to eat all their seeds today, or planting some to have food next year. Both paths have good reasons. Consider a simple example. Imagine you get some money. You could spend it all on cool new clothes today, making you happy now. Or, you could save some for a future goal, like college or a big trip. The clothes give you instant joy, but the savings could lead to much bigger opportunities later. It's a similar feeling, just on a much bigger scale for the whole world. So, how do we decide? Do we pour all our energy into fixing today's pains, like hunger and homelessness? Or do we invest heavily in slowing climate change, or building schools that will benefit children decades from now? It's a quiet tension, a silent question whispered across the world. Each choice feels right, but each also means something else might have to wait. It reminds us that rights aren't always easy answers. Sometimes, they are just deep, thoughtful questions we must keep asking together. My medical history, or research for the greater good. Have you ever thought about your health information? Things like what medicine you take, or if you've had a certain sickness. This information feels very private, doesn't it? It's yours, a part of your story. That's your right to privacy, to keep your personal details to yourself. But here's the thing, sometimes, medical scientists need a lot of this private health data from many different people to understand diseases better. They use this information to find new cures, to stop outbreaks, or to make vaccines that protect everyone. For a long time, doctors and researchers just used patient information without much thought about individual consent. It was often seen as part of the doctor's job to gather knowledge for the good of all. But as we learned more about individual freedom, people started saying, wait, my body, my data. This idea grew, that each person has a right to decide who sees their medical history and how it's used. This is a big step for human dignity. Imagine a puzzle. Each person's medical history is like one unique piece. If you want to see the whole picture, how a disease spreads, or why a certain treatment works for some and not others, you need many pieces. You can't just guess what the whole picture looks like from one or two pieces. Researchers need to connect hundreds, maybe thousands, of these private pieces to see patterns, to discover the full picture of a health problem. It's like trying to draw a map of your town, but you only have a few street names. To make a complete, helpful map for everyone, you need the names of all the streets, houses, and parks, information from many different people and places. So, how do we balance these two important ideas? Your right to privacy, the very personal nature of your medical story, against the need to help everyone, to advance knowledge that saves lives. It's a quiet question that asks us to look at what we value most. It makes us wonder about our place in the bigger human story, and how our individual choices might ripple out to touch others in ways we can barely imagine. It's a space where individual freedom meets shared well-being, asking us to think deeply about both. Protesting loudly, or respecting quiet zones. Have you ever thought about how loud our world can be, and how a loud voice can be so important? Imagine someone standing up for what they believe in, shouting it out for the whole world to hear. That's a powerful right. The right to speak freely, to protest, to be heard. It's a big part of what makes a society fair and open. People have marched and chanted for centuries, pushing for change, from civil rights to protecting our planet. Their loud voices carved paths for the freedoms many of us have today. But here's the thing. What if that loud voice, that important protest, happens right outside a hospital, or next to someone's quiet home where they are trying to rest or heal? Then, another right appears, the right to peace. Too quiet, It's like when you're trying to focus on a big test, and someone nearby is having a really loud conversation. Both people have a right, one to talk, one to concentrate, but they clash. Think of it like this. Imagine a bright, amazing spotlight shining on an actor on a stage. It helps everyone see them clearly, makes their message stand out. That's like the right to protest, bringing important issues into the light. But what if that same spotlight shines directly into the audience's eyes, blinding them? Then it stops being helpful and starts causing trouble. It hurts the very people it's meant to reach. So, how do we make space for both? It's not about silencing important voices, and it's not about ignoring someone's need for quiet. It's about finding a balance. It's about remembering that our actions, even when meant for good, always ripple outwards. It calls on us to listen, not just to our own needs, but to the needs of others around us. It's a quiet understanding that living together means sometimes adjusting our own light so everyone can see and everyone can be at peace. What I say online, or not bullying anyone. Have you ever really thought about the words you send out into the world, especially online? It's a curious space, isn't it? On one hand, there's this powerful feeling of being able to say anything you want. It's like having a microphone handed to every person. This idea, the right to speak freely, has been important for a long time. People fought to have this freedom to share thoughts without being silenced. It truly feels like a basic human right, this voice inside us. But here's the thing. What happens when the words we choose, even if we mean them as a joke, land on someone else like a punch? When does speaking freely cross the line into hurting another person, into bullying? Think of it like this. Your words online are like throwing a stone into a quiet pond. You might think it's just a small splash, a quick comment, gone in an instant. But those ripples spread out, touching everything. They can reach far beyond what you first saw, affecting someone's feelings long after you've clicked send. Long ago, thinkers understood that words carry weight. Just because you can say something doesn't always mean you should. It's a delicate balance. How do we hold on to our right to speak our truth, while also protecting the hearts and minds of others? It's not about giving up your voice. It's about realizing the power it holds. The real challenge is to use that power wisely. It means pausing, even for a moment, to consider the ripples before you throw the stone. Because true freedom online, like anywhere else, also carries a quiet duty to build up, not to tear down, and to remember that behind every screen is another human being, just like you. My financial freedom, or helping the poor. Have you ever thought about money, and what it truly means to be free? Imagine you have enough money to buy anything you want, go anywhere, do whatever your heart desires. This is often what we mean by financial freedom, the power to shape your own life without money holding you back. It's a powerful dream, isn't it? To have that much control. But here's the thing. While some people dream of total financial freedom, others are just trying to find enough for their next meal, or a safe place to sleep. They live in the shadow of poverty, a deep human experience of not having basic needs met. So, we have two very important ideas: your right to build your own wealth, and your right to choose what to do with it. And then the idea that we have a shared responsibility to help those who are struggling. And sometimes, these two ideas bump into each other. For a long time, people have asked a big question. Is it better for everyone if we just focus on ourselves and try to get ahead? Or is it better if we look out for each other, making sure no one is left behind? Some famous thinkers believed that when everyone works for their own success, society as a whole gets better, almost like an invisible hand guides things. But others have always felt that we are all connected, like threads in a giant blanket. If one thread frays, the whole blanket weakens. Think about it like this. Imagine you've been saving up all year for that amazing video game console you've always wanted. You've worked hard, done chores, and finally have enough. You feel a thrill of accomplishment. But then, on the way to the store, you see someone your age, shivering, clearly hungry, with no home. You have enough money for the console, and maybe a little extra. What do you do with that extra? Do you buy an accessory for your new game, or do you buy a hot meal for that person? There's no easy answer here, and it's a question humanity has wrestled with for centuries. It's not about right or wrong, but about how we see our place in the world. Maybe true freedom isn't just about what you can gather for yourself, but also about the difference you can make for others. How you weave your thread into the larger blanket of humanity. Being myself, or society's expectations? Have you ever felt like you had to choose between being who you truly are and being who everyone else wants you to be? It's a tricky feeling, right? We talk a lot about the right to be ourselves, to express our spirit. This is a big part of what human rights are all about, letting each person shine in their own way. But here's the thing, we also live in a world with other people, and those people, and the groups they're in, have their own ideas about how things should be. Think back to ancient times, like in old Athens. People there valued individual freedom, but they also expected citizens to act a certain way, to put the city's needs first. If you wanted to do something really different, it might not have been accepted. Fast forward to today, and we still see this dance. We want to be free, but society often sets rules, or even just quiet expectations, about how we should dress, what kind of music we should like, or what jobs are good. Imagine a plant, a seedling, that really wants to grow tall and reach for the sunlight in its own unique way. But what if all the other plants around it are growing straight up, and gardeners trim everything to look the same? The little plant feels this pull, grow how it feels natural, or try to fit in with the neat row. It's like when you want to wear bright mismatched socks, but everyone else wears plain white. You have the right to wear them, but maybe you feel pressure to conform. So, how do we find that balance? It's not about choosing one or the other. It's about learning to listen to your own quiet voice, while also understanding the world around you. It's about finding courage to be true to yourself, even when it's a little uncomfortable, and realizing that sometimes, being you helps others feel brave enough to be themselves too. It's an ongoing journey, a gentle push and pull between your inner world and the world outside. My kids' education, or what the community values. Imagine what the perfect school would be like for you, or for a younger sibling. What learning path would truly help them shine? We all hold these quiet hopes, these personal dreams for how education shapes young lives. Here's the thing, sometimes, what feels right for one student, maybe a deep focus on advanced science or art, might not quite match what the whole community values. It's like wanting a special pet, but the family needs to agree on something everyone can live with. Communities often decide what matters most for all kids, not just one child's unique dream. For centuries, people have debated how to teach children. Should schools stick to old traditions, passing down values, or should they focus on new skills for a changing world? Like problems, long ago, education was only for a select few. Now, we try to make it fair for everyone, but figuring out what to teach, and how, for every student, while also considering what the whole town needs, that's a deep, complex question. Think about a school deciding between a new track field and more funding for school counselors. A few students might dream of the best track, seeing their future in sports. But perhaps the community, looking at the bigger picture, feels more counselors help all students with their well-being. Neither choice is wrong. It's about different good things valued differently when choices must be made. It's a quiet balancing act, like sharing a garden. So, this isn't about right or wrong, it's about balance. How do we honor each child's unique spark and personal dreams, while also building a strong, fair future for everyone in our shared world? It's a gentle challenge, asking us to reflect deeply on what we truly cherish, for both the individual and the community we all share. Owning weapons, or keeping everyone safe. Have you ever thought about how something that makes one person feel really safe could make someone else feel really scared? Here's the thing, one of the deepest human rights is the right to feel secure, to protect yourself and your family. For some, this means having tools, like weapons, to defend against danger. They believe it's their ultimate way to feel safe, to be ready if something bad happens. But then, here's the problem. Other people have a right to feel safe too. And for them, the thought of more weapons around, even in good hands, can create a different kind of fear. It's a tension between individual freedom and the safety of the whole group. Think way back in history, before police or strong governments. If someone wanted to hurt you or take your things, you had to protect yourself. So, owning a sword or a bow was a basic part of survival. This idea that you have a right to defend yourself is super old. But as societies grew and got more organized, we started creating laws and shared rules. We built police forces and justice systems, hoping to create a shared peace, a world where you didn't always need to carry a sword. Here's an example. Imagine a powerful, really fast car. The owner might love driving it fast, feeling that speed and freedom on an open road. That's part of their freedom. But on a busy street, we have speed limits. That limit isn't there to stop their fun entirely. It's there to keep everyone on the road safe. Other drivers, people walking, kids playing near the street. It's about balancing one person's freedom to drive fast with the safety of the whole neighborhood. So, this isn't about blaming anyone or saying one side is wrong. It's about this quiet hum of a question that runs through our societies. How do we respect a person's deep need to protect themselves, while also creating a world where everyone can feel secure, knowing that shared spaces are truly safe? It's a delicate balance, a constant whisper between what I need and what we need, always searching for that peaceful middle ground. My right to travel, or border security. Have you ever felt a deep pull, a quiet whisper in your heart, to just go somewhere new, to see mountains you've only dreamt of, or oceans that stretch forever? This longing to move freely is a very old human desire. For many, it feels like a fundamental right, as natural as breathing. We believe we should be able to travel, explore, and even seek a new home if our current one feels unsafe or unkind. But then, we come to borders. These invisible lines on a map become very real places, with gates and guards. Here's the thing, people have always moved across the land, but the idea of nations with fixed boundaries, controlling who enters, grew strong after big conflicts. Like World War II, people wanted peace and order after so much chaos. So, a country's right to protect its people and land, to know who comes in and out, became just as important. It's a bit like your own home. You feel safe moving from room to room inside it. But if a stranger walked through your front door without permission, your family would have questions. They'd want to know why they are there, and they'd want everyone inside to stay safe. A country is a much larger home for millions of people. It seeks to keep its residents safe, manage its shared resources, and maintain its community's way of life. So, how do we hold both these important ideas in our hands at the same time? The deep human desire to roam, to follow the sun, and the quiet, strong need for a community to feel secure within its own boundaries. It's a question without an easy yes or no answer. Instead, it invites us to pause and reflect on what freedom truly means, and what it means to build a safe, shared space. It shows us that even two good and important things can sometimes stand in each other's way. Being healthy, or using resources. Have you ever thought about how our dreams for a healthy life sometimes bump into the limits of our world? We all wish for strong bodies, clear minds, and good doctors when we need them. This is the idea behind the right to health, the deep human need to be well and to have help when we're sick. It feels so simple, so right, doesn't it? But here's the thing, being healthy often needs resources. Think about it. A hospital needs builders, doctors, medicine, electricity, and clean water. Growing healthy food needs land, water, and farmers. For a long time, people have asked, if everyone has a right to be healthy, what happens when the things needed for health are scarce? Even ancient communities had to decide how to share precious things, like a clear spring or good hunting grounds. They understood that what one person used might mean less for another. Imagine your school has a small budget for sports equipment. Every team wants the best gear, the newest balls, and special uniforms. Each team feels it has a right to the best chance to play well and be healthy through sport. But the money is limited. So, a choice has to be made. Do you spend a lot on one very expensive piece of equipment that only a few people can use? Or do you buy simpler things that everyone can share? It's not about who deserves it more, but how to share what's available fairly so everyone benefits. This question, how do we balance the individual's deep need for health with the shared, often limited, resources of our world, is a quiet whisper in the halls of human rights. It reminds us that our rights are not always simple, separate ideas. Instead, they are woven together like threads in a tapestry, sometimes pulling against each other, asking us to think deeply about how we live together and care for one another and for our shared home. Freedom to marry, or traditional definitions. Have you ever thought about what marriage really is? For some, it's about a deep, personal choice, the right to love and commit to whomever they choose. It's a basic human freedom, right? The freedom to marry means being able to build a life with your chosen partner, no matter who they are. This idea feels simple and fair in our modern world. But here's the thing. For thousands of years, marriage wasn't just a personal choice. It was often defined by traditions, religions, and cultures, often with very specific rules. For many, marriage was seen as something between a man and a woman, often to have children and continue family lines. It was a cornerstone of society, deeply tied to history and shared beliefs. So, when the idea of who can marry starts to change, it can feel like those old foundations are shaking. Imagine a very old, beloved tree in a town square. For generations, everyone has known it as the maple tree of harmony because it always produced maple leaves. But what if one day, new leaves started growing on it, different from any maple leaf anyone had seen before? Some people might say, it's still our tree, just changing. Others might say, no, it's not a maple tree anymore, it's something different, and that changes what we understand. This is kind of like the question with marriage. When we talk about the freedom to marry, are we talking about a freedom that allows the definition of marriage to expand and change? Or does the meaning of marriage come from its long traditions, which might mean it has a fixed definition? It's a gentle pull between individual freedom and the deeply held understanding of what something has always been. It makes us think about how new ideas can grow alongside very old ones, and how we find respect for both. It's a quiet reminder that sometimes what one person sees as freedom, another sees as a change to something sacred. My right to an attorney, or getting justice done fast. Have you ever thought about what makes something truly fair? Like if you're in a situation where the rules are complicated and you don't fully understand them, what then? That's where having an attorney comes in. It's your right to have someone who knows those complex legal rules, someone who can speak up for you, making sure your side of the story is heard. This person protects your rights, even if you don't know them yourself. For a long time, people realized that if your future depends on a big legal decision, you need help. Powerful leaders used to just decide things without much thought. But over hundreds of years, societies learned that true justice needs a process, a set of fair steps. This idea is called due process. It means the system itself has to be fair, not just the final outcome. Having someone explain and fight for you is a big part of that fairness. But here's the problem. Courts can't go on forever. People need answers. Victims want closure. Society needs things to move forward. So, there's real pressure to get justice done fast, to not let cases drag on for years. Think about a huge group project at school. Everyone contributes. Maybe one person is quiet, or they don't quite get what the teacher wants. If a leader helps them, explains things, and makes sure their voice is heard, that's like having an attorney. But the project still has a deadline, right? You can't work on it forever. You need to finish it so everyone can move on. This is where the conflict hits. Your right to a thorough defense, exploring every detail, can sometimes slow things down, and the need for the system to be efficient, to deliver justice quickly, can feel like it rushes past someone's individual needs. It's a deep question, isn't it? How do we hold these two important ideas together, the slow, careful search for individual truth, and the swift, clear path to a just end for everyone? It's a balance we're always trying to figure out, living simply or needing more stuff. Have you ever stopped to wonder what truly makes a good life? Is it about having the newest phone, the coolest shoes, or a giant house? Or is it something else, something deeper, like feeling safe, having enough to eat, or being able to learn? This is where human rights can sometimes feel a bit tangled. Everyone has a right to a good life, to enough food, shelter, and a chance to thrive. But what happens when one person's idea of a good life means gathering a lot of things, while another person barely has the basics? For a long, long time, people have thought about this. Ancient philosophers, way before phones or cars, asked if true happiness came from having lots of possessions or from wanting less. Some believed that wanting too much could actually make us unhappy, always chasing the next thing. They thought being content with what you had, with just enough, brought more peace. It's a quiet idea, but a powerful one. The difference between needing what's essential and just wanting more and more. Think about a shared resource, like clean water. Every person has a right to clean water. But what if one person uses a huge amount of water to fill a giant swimming pool, just because they can, while people in another part of the world struggle to find even a cup to drink? The right to enjoy your property, like a pool, can clash with another's right to basic survival. It's not about judging, but seeing how our choices, even small ones, are linked to everyone else. So, how do we find a balance? Is there a way to live well without taking too much from others? It asks us to look closely at our own desires. What do we truly need to live a good, happy, and dignified life? And what is just extra, something we want but might not need? Thinking about this helps us see how connected we all are, and how what we choose for ourselves can ripple out to touch the rights and lives of others. It's a gentle whisper. Maybe having enough is truly having everything. My right to vote, or strict rules for elections. Have you ever thought about the simple act of voting? It feels like a quiet promise, doesn't it? A chance for your voice to join thousands of others, shaping the future. This deep feeling, this right to choose, it's a powerful thing. It's about being seen, being heard. But here's the thing. What happens when the rules around voting get super strict? When do those necessary rules start to feel like they're blocking your personal right to speak up? For a very long time, this basic right wasn't given to everyone. Imagine a world where people couldn't vote just because of their skin color, or because they were women. Brave people fought hard. They marched and dreamed to make sure this right stretched to include everyone. So, it's not just a political idea, it's a piece of human dignity. It's personal. But then, society also learned that without clear, firm rules, things can get messy. Think about a big group project in class. Everyone has ideas. Everyone wants their say. You all have the right to share your thoughts. But if there are no rules for how to decide, no voting, no discussion limits, just shouting, then it turns into chaos. The best ideas might get lost, and the loudest voices win, not necessarily the best ones. It's like that with elections. Your right to vote is your chance to play in the big game. It's powerful, but the rules like showing ID, or registering by a certain date, or how ballots are stored, these aren't there to stop you. They're there to make sure the game is fair for everyone. They help make sure every single voice is counted properly, and that the outcome is honest. It's a tricky balance, isn't it? Our personal freedom to speak, set against the quiet need for a shared, orderly way for all of us to make big decisions together. It makes you pause and think about how we truly build a fair world, creating art or cultural sensitivity. Have you ever wondered about the power of a drawing, a song, or a story? How it can make you feel something deep inside? Art lets us share our innermost thoughts and feelings with the world. It's a way to express who we are, a freedom many people believe is a basic human right. We get to create, to speak our minds in colors, sounds, and words. But here's the thing. Our world is also full of different cultures, traditions, and beliefs. Each one is precious and has its own long history. And people also have a right to have their culture respected, to not have it mocked or misused. This is where creating art and cultural sensitivity can sometimes bump into each other. Imagine a painter, filled with passion, decides to use a sacred symbol from a culture they don't belong to. Maybe they saw it in a book and thought it looked cool. They aren't trying to be mean. They might just be expressing their artistic vision. But for someone from that culture, seeing their sacred symbol used in a way that feels wrong can be deeply hurtful. It can feel like their history, their spirit, is being disrespected, even stolen. It's like if you had a special family tradition, maybe a song your grandparents always sang, and someone started singing it in a silly, disrespectful way, just because they liked the tune. They might not understand how important it is to you, but for you, it feels like a piece of your heart is being treated carelessly. So, how do we balance these two important things? How can we create art that is bold and true to ourselves, but also kind and thoughtful towards others? It's a question that doesn't have an easy answer. It means pausing before we create. It means learning about what we're using or referencing. It means asking ourselves if our art truly honors the big, beautiful tapestry of human experience, or if it might accidentally cause pain. It's about expressing our own light, while also protecting the light in others. My choice of home, or zoning laws. Have you ever dreamed about where you'd live one day? Maybe a quiet house with a big garden, or a cool apartment in the city. That feeling, that deep wish to pick your own spot in the world, feels really natural, doesn't it? It's part of what makes us feel safe and truly ourselves. It's like a quiet right we all feel we should have, choosing our home. But here's the thing. Imagine everyone picking any spot they wanted, building anything at all, wherever they pleased. What if someone built a noisy factory right next to your quiet dream house? or a huge shopping mall next to a peaceful school. That's where something called zoning laws come in. Think of zoning laws as rules communities make, like a giant puzzle with different colored pieces. Some areas are for homes, some for shops, some for factories, some for parks. These rules appeared as towns grew into cities. People needed order. They wanted to keep everyone safe and make sure there was space for schools and parks. It's a bit like playing a team sport. You might really want to play goalie because you love diving for saves. That's your personal choice. But the coach might say, we already have a goalie, and we need you at defense for the team to win. The needs of the whole team, the community, sometimes mean things are organized differently. So, here's the quiet truth. Our deep human longing to choose our own place meets the community's need for order and safety. It's not about one being right and the other wrong. It's about finding that delicate balance. How do we make sure everyone finds their special spot, while also building places that work well and feel fair for all of us? It's a question we keep asking, quietly, as we build our world. Caring for elders, or their right to decide. Have you ever thought about someone older you care about, wanting to make a choice that worries you? It's a gentle tug-of-war between two good intentions. On one side, there's the deep human need to care for our elders, to keep them safe and comfortable, to protect them from harm. We want to make sure they're okay, healthy, and their needs are met. This comes from a place of love, wanting to give back to those who have given so much. But then, there's another powerful idea, the right of every person to decide for themselves. This isn't just about big choices, but everyday things, too. It's about being able to choose what you eat, where you live, or even if you want help with something. This idea of individual freedom has deep roots. Philosophers long ago talked about natural rights, things people are born with, like the right to control your own life. Even as society changed, this core belief in individual choice remained strong. We believe in the dignity of each person, no matter their age. So, what happens when these two powerful ideas meet? Imagine your grandparent loves to cook, but their memory isn't as sharp, and you worry about them leaving the stove on. Your heart says, I must protect them, but their spirit says, this is my home, my kitchen, my life. It's like that feeling you get when your parents want you to wear a certain outfit because it's practical, but you really want to wear what makes you feel like you. Both sides mean well, but their desires don't quite line up. It's a truly delicate balance, finding the line between protection and freedom. It calls for patience, for listening, and for a lot of love. It reminds us that caring for someone isn't always about telling them what to do. Sometimes, it's about standing beside them, respecting their journey, even when it's hard, and understanding that their life, right to the end, is still their own. My right to protest, or business operations. Have you ever felt so strongly about something, so deeply in your heart, that you just had to speak out, to gather with others, maybe make signs, and share your truth? This is our right to protest, a powerful echo of our voice in the world. It's a freedom many fought for, a way to show what we believe is right or wrong, to push for change. It feels like the very air we breathe, doesn't it? But here's the thing. While you are speaking, your mind may be on a busy street or outside a building. What about the people inside that building, or the shops nearby? They have their own rights too. The right to run their business, to earn a living, to keep things moving. This right to operate and provide goods or services also helps our communities thrive. It's how families put food on the table, how stores open their doors, how services get to us. Think of it like this. Imagine your favorite local band practicing really loudly in their garage. They have a right to create music, to express themselves, to prepare for a big show. It's part of who they are. But next door, your neighbor is trying to work from home, needing quiet for a very important phone call. Or maybe a small bakery needs to get their delivery truck through a busy street to bring fresh bread. The sound, the crowd, the blocked path. It can feel like one person's freedom is getting in the way of another's daily life. So, how do we hold both these important truths in our hands at the same time? How do we let voices be heard, and also let the daily rhythm of life continue? It's a delicate dance, a quiet question we carry within us. It asks us to consider not just our own urgent plea, but also the ripple effect our actions have on the world around us. It makes us wonder how we can honor every person's path, even when those paths seem to cross.
Using new tech or protecting privacy rights. Have you ever thought about the little spaces that belong only to you, like your thoughts or the quiet corner of your room where you keep your diary? That feeling of having a private space, a part of your life that's just yours, is what we call privacy. It's a human right, the right to control what others know about you and to have a personal bubble that can't be easily popped. But here's the thing. Our world is bursting with incredible new technology. Think about smart speakers that answer your questions, phones that know where you are, or social media apps where you share so much of your day. These tools connect us in amazing ways. They make things easier, faster, and sometimes a lot more fun. Long ago, privacy was simpler. If you lived in a small village, everyone knew your business, true. But outside that village, you were just a stranger, mostly unknown. When cities grew, people found a new kind of quiet, a space to be unseen. You could walk down a busy street and be just one face in a crowd, your thoughts your own. Now, with devices always listening, always watching, that quiet space, that sense of being truly unknown, feels different. Imagine you have a cool new video game. To play it, you might agree to terms that let the game know who your friends are, or even where you live. It's exciting to play and connect, right? But then, does the game really need to know every single thing about you? This is where the two ideas meet. Our desire for awesome new tech and our deep need to keep certain parts of ourselves private.